It is 6 p.m. and we do have a quorum.
This one. Thank you very much. I'd like to call the meeting to order. This is a regular city council meeting of the city of San Juan Bautista, August 16th at 6 p.m. This meeting will be conducted pursuant to Government Code Section 54953 E1A in order to minimize the spread of COVID-19 virus. The City Council is conducting this meeting by Zoom webinar and offering alternative options for public participation. You are encouraged to watch the meeting live on Zoom or Facebook or be present in the chambers. This is a hybrid meeting. Vice Mayor Flores, will you please start us off with the Pledge of Allegiance? You are muted.
I'm sorry, my mic was off. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy City Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
Certainly. Vice Mayor Flores,
Present.
Councilmember Friels, Councilmember Freeman,
Here.
Mayor Jordan.
Present.
Mayor, at this time, we have a quorum with 4 members present.
Councilmember Edge.
Oh, I apologize. And I have to note that Councilmember Edge has an excused absence this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Attorney Rathie.
Yes, just before we get started this evening,
Please speak into your microphone. Nope, that's
I'm
okay.
gonna get closer.
Super close. And make sure the green light is on.
It is.
Thank you.
Before we get started this evening, I thought it would be just important because we've been working the last few days and actually over the last several weeks as the council and the city enter a interesting period, the election period. This time is always interesting for both the electeds, the prospective electeds, and city staff and the citizens. So it is important, however, I think, and this is my opinion, that at this time, especially that the council set an example and create expectations for those who are running for council and will be serving on the council in the next year and next 4 years. And as part of this, it's very important that we do our best to always demonstrate, and that goes for staff and council members and everybody, I think the public, that we all do our best to demonstrate good order and to defer to the rulings of the presiding officer in all respects. If there's a question about that, you can always bring a point of order and it can be debated and ruled upon. But the rules governing our meetings are important and they are intended to facilitate accomplishing the important work of the city. So I think in that context, it's just important for all of us to remember going forward that what we do is setting an example for people that are going to be serving in this room in the future. So thank you. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. Public comment. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons desiring to address the council on matters not on the agenda. The law does not permit council action or extended discussion of any item not on the agenda except under special circumstances. If council action is requested, the council may place this matter on a future agenda. Deputy City Clerk, do we have any public comment?
I have received no comment cards for public comments for the general section. Items not on the agenda.
Thank you very much.
Oh, I apologize. Do you have a comment card, sir? Oh, I apologize. It's there behind you. Mayor, do we require the card?
He can just state his name and address for the record.
Certainly, sir.
please? Yes, please. I'm sorry, one moment, please. You have 3 minutes and the deputy city clerk will be timing you. Thank you very much. Welcome, Steve.
It's been about a year now since my wife and I started the food bank down across from the post office, just outside the post office. And it's been very successful. It's been very.
I'm sorry, Madam Mayor, we cannot hear him on Zoom at all.
Thank you very
So-
much.
If you may, if it would be appropriate to restart his 3 minutes so he can have his full time.
Sure,
And-
sure. We'll start your 3 minutes and,
Thank you.
Mr. Harris, if you will actually speak really close to the mic.
Please, yes, please, please.
It's been 1 year since my wife and I started.
Mm-mm.
Post office, and I want to say it's been very successful. The community.
Nothing.
And okay, how about now?
We're getting nothing. I heard
No,
laughter.
Please sit by. We're experiencing
Okay.
technical difficulty.
Thank you.
Nope, nope. It's our button. It's on this side. There we go. Oh, it just popped.
Any better?
That's
Oh, that's
perfect.
fabulous.
If you will still speak close to the microphone. There you
Okay,
go.
sorry to drag things out here tonight, right off the bat.
Take
but-
3.
My name is Steve Harris. I live at 705 First Street. And again, it's been about a year now that since my wife and I started the food pantry down at the post office. I want to thank the community. It's been very, very successful. And the good news is anybody who wants to can put food there or take it if they need it. The other thing is now there's a drop down box for the San Benito County Food Bank. If you want to donate, you can go to you can go to their donations and hit the drop down box, and you can earmark your donation to go directly to the San Juan Bautista Food Bank. There's our little pantry down there, and they're delivering food like twice a week now too. So I go down there when I check my mail, and there's always something in there, or somebody putting some in, or sometimes some people taking it out. So that's been very successful. Second, we've been successful in reestablishing a chapter for San Benito County of Guitars Not Guns, a national nonprofit which takes youth that's at risk or in the foster system from 8 to 18. We teach them guitar lessons. They get 8 guitar lessons, and upon completing that, they are given their guitar, their bag, picks, everything that we've given them during the 8 weeks, and hopefully some guidance. And they can go on and go to another class after that. And it's been 2 or 3 years since we've had any classes, so we had to get a new board, new instructors. There's a lot of people here in San Juan Bautista that are involved. And so I really want to urge, our first class is going to be in Hollister, starting September 17th. But what I really want to do is I want to put together a San Juan Bautista aromas class for the children here. A lot of kids can't travel, and given the world we live in now, it's hard to just pick them up and give them a ride anymore like when we grew up. But with that, I'll sit down. I just wanted to bring that news. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other public comment? Norma, do we have any public comment in Zoom world?
We do, Mayor. So I'm going to start in the order that they appeared here. And so the first one is David, bringing you in. If you unmute yourself, your 3-minute timer will begin.
Welcome, Dave.
Good evening, Dave Medeiros, 1026 First Street, San Juan Bautista, California. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Regarding the open letter, this San Juan Bautista City Council issued to the Planning Commission, citing that they did not meet San Juan Bautista City Council's expectations in the performance of duty while conducting Planning Commission meetings, that since then I discovered, should the San Juan Bautista Planning Commission desire to, in good judgment, realize that the San Juan Bautista City Council misrepresented their authority when issuing any such open letters due to information such as the San Juan Bautista City Council may have violated most, if not all, that was stated within the contents of their own open letter. Well, in fact, I may have discovered enough information that the San Juan Bautista City Council did violate their own open letter as written, which in accordance with proper municipal government procedures invalidates the authority of the open letter in general. And in consequence should recommend to the Planning Commission to disregard the open letter in its entirety. Furthermore, please realize that San Juan Bautista Planning Commission, with all due respect to any misrepresentation by any of the San Juan Bautista municipal government officials, in the spirit of preventing any future open letters, have and will continue to take every necessary step to prevent the need of an open letter as reflected and noted in recent past Planning Commission meetings, and of which I personally wish the San Juan Bautista City Council should follow in the same footsteps while conducting all future meetings as it is being done in recent Planning Commission meetings. And that the good people of San Juan Bautista should be concerned and reconsider perhaps the validity of their city council's authority and see to it that the San Juan Bautista City Council are performing to the level of expectation that is required at the level of conduct and professionalism they're elected to perform. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other public comment?
Yes, we do. As we are moving to the next one, I do want to let those who are attending tonight, thank you for being here, attending by Zoom. If you wish to speak, please use the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen and your hand will be raised. You'll be brought into the meeting. The next one here is Emily. If you unmute yourself, your 3-minute timer will start.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
Hi, Emily. We can hear you loud and clear. Thank you.
Hi, great. I'm actually calling in from Seaside in Monterey County. My name is Emily Gottlieb. I work with Ecology Action of Santa Cruz. And I'm here to present to the City Council of San Juan Bautista about a program that would help city residents to reduce their carbon emissions while saving money. This program, called the Resilient Central Coast Campaign, is led by Ecology Action of Santa Cruz. And we are in partnership currently with 24 public agencies and nonprofits in the Central Coast region, including the county of including the county of San Benito. The Resilient Central Coast campaign would provide a customized online platform where San Juan Bautista residents could access rebates and information about 5 types of household actions to reduce carbon emissions while saving money, including cutting down on food waste, changing their transportation, electrifying their homes, conserving energy, and saving water. The platform gives residents immediate feedback about their savings and their positive impact while connecting them with other people who are taking action. This Resilient Central Coast campaign has received $4,000 from the county, and we are seeking an additional $3,500 to launch this program in San Benito County, which would also provide a custom platform site for the residents of San Juan Bautista. And I would just like the opportunity to present this new program for consideration to the City Council at a future meeting. Thank you for hearing my comments.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other public comment?
We do. I am letting in Vanda. If you unmute yourself, state your name, your 3-minute timer will start.
Good evening, City Council and staff.
Hey, Vanda, welcome.
Thank you. Vanda Guibert, 5 Donner Street. I just want to talk a little bit about San Juan Day, which we had this past Sunday, and I just wanted to say how successful it was. We've had guesstimates of up to 5,000 people attending, and I want the public to know that this was hosted by the San Juan Committee doing business as the San Juan Bautista Business Association. We kind of carry on the work of the old chamber, primarily working on tourism, bringing tourists to town. Rotary had done the antique fair for many, many years. They were not able to continue this year. So our group picked up the torch and kind of recreated as a conglomeration of the best of San Juan. The flea market, which started in 1963 and then evolved to the antique fair. And then we had a little bit of the chicken festival. But it was a great event, all volunteers. And I just want to thank everybody who came, everybody who participated. It was just a positive, enthusiastic, good old fashioned small town event. And so we're going to do it again next year, second weekend in August, which should be about August 14th. We welcome feedback, constructive criticism, and we look forward to seeing everybody next year. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other public comment?
We don't have any other hands raised this time. So anyone who has attended and joined us by Zoom tonight, now is the time to raise that hand by using the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen. Mayor, we have no other hands raised.
Thank you very much. Consent items. All matters listed under the consent agenda may be enacted by one motion, authorizing action indicated for those items so designated. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless requested by a member of the city council, a staff member, or a citizen. Does anybody from the council wish to pull an item on the consent agenda? Vice Mayor Flores.
No.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Friels. Thank you. Councilmember Freeman.
No, thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody from the public wish to pull an item on the consent agenda? We'll start with the chambers. Deputy City Clerk. Thank you very much. Norma, do we have anybody on Zoom who wishes to pull something from the consent item agenda?
Anyone who has joined us by Zoom who wishes to pull an item, please raise your hand and you'll have that opportunity to state which item. We do have someone who has raised their hand, bringing in Darlene.
Thank you very much. Welcome, Darlene. You have 3 minutes.
Well, this comment is more about the fact that I can't hear Mr. Friels or Mr. Freeman. There's something wrong with the mics.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other public comment?
We do not have any other hands raised.
Thank you very much. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you very much. Vice Mayor Flores, do we have a second?
I'll second it. Hopefully it worked.
Thank you very much. Vice Mayor Flores and Councilmember Freeman with the second. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Flores,
Yes.
Councilmember Friels,
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman,
Yes.
Mayor Jordan.
Yes.
Mayor, with all members being present, the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. Item 4, presentation, proclamation, informational items and reports, city council and staff announcements. This is an opportunity for council and staff to share the community calendar and announce upcoming dates, interests to the general public. Vice Mayor Flores.
I have none, thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Friels.
So here. I'm just, I'm kind of ringing in what Wanda said. I wanted to thank all the volunteers who put on San Juan Days. It was a fun event. I didn't do quite as many steps as Fran. I think she posted she did 28,000 steps. I think I was around 10. So it was a good day. Unfortunately, I have an announcement. Our little town lost a wonderful person. George Diaz passed away on last Wednesday. George was an instrumental part of shaping this community for decades. Not only was he an original member of the San Juan Padres Car Club, he was on the volunteer fire department, the planning commission, and the city council. I've known George my whole life. Matter of fact, he was my first boss. He was a driving light and a mentor towards me. And well, George Diaz was my friend. I'm going to miss him. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Our heartfelt condolences to all who knew and loved George. Councilmember Freeman.
Thank you. My condolences to the Diaz family also.
Pull your microphone closer, please.
My condolences to the Diaz family also. I'd like to echo everyone else in saying that San Juan Day I thought was a great success. I went and enjoyed it and had a great time of visiting all the people, eating too much food, all those types of things. So it was really great. For other community announcements, I attended a Rancho Vista block party a week ago Saturday. It was great to see all those people. It was a very beneficial to the community of Rancho Vista. They had some things they wanted to talk about to people, and they did so. And I think we can work it all out. Next thing I want to talk about is something that's been talked about long and often. And I was having lunch at Lola on Saturday at about 12:15. And I was shocked to see a 63-foot tractor trailer come down, not from the roundabout, but from 156, the light on Alameda, and go all the way down 3rd Street. And 3rd Street is rather narrow now. And he was kind of looking around, what am I doing? And in my opinion, he was going too fast for a large truck like that. It was really discouraging to see that occur. And I don't know where he was going, and I wasn't anxious enough to get up and follow him. I was enjoying my lunch. So, but I just somehow, we need more signs at more entrances. I used to think that 90% of the problem was coming in on 129 or 1st Street into town from the 2 packing sheds or packing plants, cold storage. But this guy was not that. He was just coming in off of 156. And so it really kind of upset me. Speaking of that, I noticed that the roundabout was injured, I think, last weekend. I just wanted to make sure everyone knew. Same guy? Thank you. Oh, boy. And my next comment is in no way to be critical of the San Juan Day. I already said it was fantastic, but I want to make the following comment, and it applies to more than just San Juan Day. It applies to the Rib Festival and the Antique Fair and whatever other festivals we may have. There's just far too many plastics at these festivals. We have an ordinance in our city to ban and outlaw them. And we need the help of the lady who was just on during public comment, and that's what she's talking about. And we need help showing potential vendors where they can find other downstream vendors to get non-plastic. Most of it's, let's face it, to-go food and things like that. Non-plastic bags, non-plastic clamshells. They make them out of compostable, whatever it is. I don't know. I'm not a materials chemist. But anyway, we need to start, Dan DeVries 4 years ago got up in front of the city council here and correctly identified this as a serious problem. And we need to start following through, and we need to follow our codes. We need to gather the help of the person who volunteered. We need to gather the help of Integrated Waste Management, Selena Stotler, and we need to gather the help of Recology and anybody else we can find to make these more a more plastic-free event. And I will remind people that off-gassing from plastics is a substantial source of greenhouse gas emissions. So that's it for my little report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I had to wait for the motorcycle to pass.
And the car alarm.
And the car alarm going off now. Reiterating, San Juan Day, phenomenal, well done. Thank you very much to the San Juan Bautista Business Association, the San Juan Committee, all the volunteers, all of the sponsors. It was an amazing event. 3 months, couple of folks, several folks. It was amazing. It was amazing for the first. Looking forward to the future ones. And Sean Novak from the Water Resources Board has on several occasions joined us and spoken about turf replacements, toilet replacements. And we have one of our own I think it's one of the very first in San Juan Bautista who participated in the turf removal program. Carol Smith looks amazing. Thank you very much. Hope more get on that wagon. City manager, anything from you? Fun and fabulous.
No, not in particular. Thank you, Mayor. Fine.
Thank you very much. Attorney Rathie,
No comment.
thank you very much. Okay, reports from city council representatives to regional organizations and committees. Council member, Vice Mayor Flores.
Yes, I attended a CMAP meeting and a LAPCO meeting.
Any comments on them?
CMAP is in the process of trying to relocate to Hollister. The cost of the building they're in Gilroy is not, they can't really handle it. They don't make the money to pay for it. So there's this building on the hill, City Park or Park Hill, and the director, I can't think of his name right now. He's working on getting it for the CMAP, and it looks pretty good. That's about it.
Thank you very much.
And LAPCO, that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Council member Friels. Please sit by. Technical difficulties. Try. Nope.
There we go. We on? Okay.
Nice.
Holy moly. Let's see, all I had, that's just the Public Safety Committee. Try to refresh my memory here. We spoke weed abatement. The Sheriff's Department is trying to get a deputy freed up for us. I think we're going to speak about that a little bit later. It's a national problem right now. Law enforcement and fire protection is struggling to staff stations and patrol cars. It was pretty quick. It was a pretty quick meeting, wasn't it?
It was a quick meeting.
Yeah, and then that's about all I have for that one.
Thank you very much. Council member Freeman.
Thank you. First week of August, I attended an intergovernmental meeting. We talked about a tobacco, flavored tobacco and vaping ordinance. It's going to go on to the Board of Supervisors, and they're going to make the final decision. Their decision will cover the city of San Juan Bautista. If they vote to pass the ordinance and outlaw flavored tobacco and vaping, then it will be illegal to sell. And in San Juan Bautista, that will probably affect one or two businesses we have in town, mainly the windmill. And then we went on to talk about homelessness and 4th of July fireworks, and maybe we should have a public show, and then a little bit on the drought and how that affects the 4th of July and fireworks. So that was the intergovernmental meeting. Last week we had an AMBAG meeting, and first thing on their agenda was we're starting to redo, kind of like what we're doing with a community plan. They every 4 years on a regular basis redo their metropolitan transportation program plan, say that fast 3 times. Anyway, it covers the Tri-County area for Monterey, Santa Cruz, and San Benito. And so that's basically what AMBAG does. And so they're now starting on the process of doing that, and they may be in contact with various planning departments. Second on the agenda is we had 2 appeals for RENA numbers from the city of, I believe it was Gonzales, and the city of Sand City. Long story short, we denied the appeals because if we were to approve them, the numbers would go back into the pot and then just be rearranged among the existing cities, and it wouldn't really make anything better. So the appeals were denied. And that was it for my meetings. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I too was at the safety committee, which was already discussed, the intergovernmental, which was already discussed, and the water board meeting, the Water Association Committee. We discussed conservation going to 20% cutbacks, the turf replacement program. And that's about it there. Do we have any questions, comments, or concerns from the public on any of these reports in the chambers?
No, Mayor.
Thank you very much. On Zoom?
Anyone who has joined us tonight that wishes to speak on this matter, please use the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen. That will indicate that you would like to speak on this matter specifically, reports from the council. We have no hands raised this time, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. 4C, Treasurer's Report and Monthly Financial Statement by the City Treasurer, Michelle Sabathia. Hey, Michelle, welcome.
Hi, good evening. Good evening, Mayor and council members. Okay, so let's jump into a brief overview of the financials. Before we start, let's just make a note that we are now at the end of the fiscal year, so the numbers are reflective of that, and what you're seeing in your packets as well. With that being said, for the general fund, year to date, our net effect is currently a positive balance of $515,000. The month-over-month change there was an increase of $14,000. A couple items to note would be that the increase was mainly driven by sales tax and property tax, which was higher than what we allotted for in the fiscal year. So that's a great thing. On the expenditure side, some of the vendors that stood out would be our regular vendors, right? CSG Consultants, which is for the fees of our city engineer, city inspector, based on usage. And then we did issue a few more business grants to our local owners, and that still relates to the first installment. And then another notable one would be water-related vendors, right? I've now grouped them just because there's just so many sometimes. So some of the 2 notable ones would be EMC Planning Group, a consulting firm, and then Stantec Consulting as well, based on usage. So that's kind of it for the general fund. For the Water Enterprise Fund, year to date, our net effect is currently a positive balance of $360,000. The month-over-month change there was an increase of $27,000. So revenues are in line with budget, and the increase does relate to seasonality, which we do see during this time period. On the expenditure side, I would say nothing notable. Everything's in line with expectation there. And then for the Sewer Enterprise Fund, year to date, our net effect is currently a positive balance of $419,000. The month-over-month change there was an increase of $2,000, a slightly lower increase just related to like contractual agreements due to timing could be as well. So revenues are in line with budget, exceeding expenses overall. And then on the expenditure side, I would say that there's no material call outs with the exception of some chemical testing. We haven't seen high numbers on that for a while, but this month we did have some chemical testing that was slightly material, nothing too crazy, but something to call out. And that's it for now, unless there's questions.
Thank you very much for that. Vice Mayor Flores, questions, comments, concerns?
No question or comments. Thank you. Good report.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Friels?
No questions. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Freeman?
Thank you, Michelle. No real questions.
Thank you. Questions, comments, concerns from the chambers?
No, no comment, Mayor.
Thank you very much. From Zoom?
Anyone who would like to speak on this matter and has joined us tonight by Zoom, please use the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen. That will indicate that you would like to speak on this, on the treasurer's report. Specifically, you'll be brought into the meeting and you'll have 3 minutes to speak on the matter. We have no hands raised at this time, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. Just a quick observation, Valley Vista expenditures 235% higher than normal, above.
At mid-year, Mayor, we budgeted extra money from the savings in the Creek Bridge neighborhood, about $40,000. And we did some tree trimming, which we're trying to do in 5 years, replaced street lights and gazebo. So apparently in QuickBooks, that wasn't modified, so it's showing as an overview.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Michelle.
Awesome, thank you.
Have a great night. Thanks. City managers report.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. I've included in my report also a brief summary from the fire department, and we have Chief Bob Martin Del Campo here today, and we have our dedicated Deputy Ryan Miller here today from the Sheriff's Department. I thought maybe Bob, you could start, and then Ryan, and then I have a few slides to share. So go ahead, Bob.
Hey, thank you, City Manager Don Reynolds. Good evening, Mayor and council members, and all who are in attendance. Real quick, so it was quite an eventful month last month. Hollister Fire deployed 2 engines to campaign fires around the state. One of our off-road engines went to the McKinney fire. Another engine, structure engine, went to the Oak fire, and we had a line EMT that was deployed as a single resource to the Oak fire, and then off to the Yeti fire after that. We had 2 prevention inspectors for the San Juan days. I got great reviews from that. The inspections went well. It was a safe environment. We're going to start inspections on schools, hotels, apartments in the fall, and we'll give you guys results on that in December. One thing I need to kind of bring up, because it has piqued everybody's interest. Over the past 2 weeks, we've had several fatalities in the county caused by motor vehicle accidents. I'm sure you're aware of the one that happened on Sunday, a family of 4, and then we had 2 just the week prior. You know, I gotta say, we gotta be safe out there, folks. I mean, this population is growing. We have a tendency of getting our income from outside of the county, and I got kids myself that leave the county every day to go to work. I worry about it, just like everybody in the room and on Zoom. Let's be careful. We need to bring this number down. It's almost to the point of being an epidemic. So be safe out there. And that concludes my report, and I'm open for questions.
Thank you very much, Chief. Do we have any questions, comments, or concerns from the council? Vice Mayor Flores?
I have none.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Friels?
No questions. Thanks, Chief.
Thank you. Councilmember Freeman?
Thanks for the great report. It was so thorough. I really don't have any questions right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And as you are reminding all of us to be safe out there, back at you. All of y'all be safe out there. Thank you for your services.
Madam Mayor, we do have someone here on Zoom who would like to speak.
Thank you. Hang on one second. Do we have anybody in the chambers?
No, Mayor, no.
Thank you
comments.
very much. Thanks for the reminder, Norma. Go ahead.
Thank you. For those who are attending tonight, if you would like to speak, please use the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen. And you will have 3 minutes to speak. Once you are brought into the meeting, please unmute yourself and your 3-minute timer will start. And I'm bringing in Jackie.
Hi, good evening.
Hey, Jackie, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a comment and probably a little question for the fire chief. This weekend Hardiness has several weddings, and this weekend I just happened to be driving past and I caught my peripheral vision that there was like sparks flying. So basically what I think was happening, that there was some sane firework activity in a wedding reception. So perhaps maybe it would take a reminder to the property owner or business owner that that should not be allowed. They weren't being shot off in the sky, but I looked over because, like I said, a flash caught my peripheral vision. And they definitely were like those fireworks that kind of shoot up like a stream. And there are several of them that were there in the back patio near the fence. So I just thought I'd comment that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Jackie, thank you. We'll go ahead and we'll appreciate that recommendation. We'll go ahead and make contact with Hardeen's. Appreciate that.
Thank you. That was easy. Any other questions, comments, concerns from Zoom?
We do not have any other hands raised at this time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Chief.
We have Deputy Miller with us. Perhaps he could give us an overview of what's been happening on his side. Ryan, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Yes,
Hey,
sir.
welcome, Ryan. Sorry, Deputy Miller.
Oh, you're good. So, relatively quieter month since last month. I was unfortunate to not be able to make San Juan Day as I tested positive for COVID. So I've been out on my last day of quarantine. So I'll be back tomorrow. So I didn't get to help out at San Juan Days or even go. So, but it sounds like it was good. We had I guess it's a lewd act, you could say. An elderly man was in public acting inappropriately. That report was sent over to the DA, so there'll be charges filed against that. We had 2 traffic accidents, none of them fatal. One of them, tires popped, so he fishtailed off of the hill next to the Alameda stoplight. Couple stop sign violations, nothing too major. We had the mission. Somebody decided to have a mental episode and broke into the mission and was reading the Bible in the pastor's office. So that gentleman was taken in for a 5150 hold and will be treated accordingly from there on. Then the fire truck was vandalized by the library. Those two are not related. They did happen on the same day, but they're not related due to the investigating that I've done. So don't know who did that, but everything seems like that will be taken care of itself. Somebody decided to, by the Valero, decided to just dump a bunch of trash on the side of the road. I'm still waiting for the manager, or not the manager, the owner of the Valero to send me that video footage, but until then, that's about all I've gotten for that. And really, that's really about it. It's relatively quiet. A couple people had drugs on them, but other than that, nothing too major.
Thank you very much. Questions, comments, concerns from the council? Vice Mayor Flores?
No comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Friels?
No comments. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Questions?
No
Councilmember
comments. Thank
Freeman?
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Miller. Great report.
Questions, comments, concern from the chambers?
No, Mayor, no comments.
Thank you very much. Questions, comments, concern from Zoom?
Anyone who has joined us tonight that wishes to speak on this matter, please use the raise hand button and you'll be brought in for your 3-minute time to speak. We do not have any hands raised at this time, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. Again, Deputy Miller, thank you very much for your services and reiterating, be safe out there. We appreciate you. Glad you're on the upside mending too. Thank you.
Mayor, I have just a few slides tonight, catch you up on a few general matters, city administration, et cetera. And I brought up the wrong one. Sorry, pardon me. I had a choice of two and I missed it. Okay, there we go. Thank you. There you go. Okay, great. Okay, so just real quick, in terms of administration, we welcome Deputy City Clerk Melissa Lee in their second week and a half. And welcome Melissa to our team, and thanks for your great spirit and forthcoming. Appreciate you being here. That was August 1st, was the first day. Focusing right now on public meetings and elections. So going right into the middle of the elections and working with our candidates to make sure that they're all okay. It's not
Just speak closer.
okay. So so
Perfect.
this is the first time in 6 months that we don't have any vacancies. So that's nice. And I think we have a great team to work with together. A lot of teamwork happening now. Everyone's pulling their weight. So I'm working on a few HR policies that I hope to bring to the next council meeting. One addressing the way we administer our administrative leave, and I have a draft telework policy, telecommute work policy from our team at RGS. I have the RFP for city engineer on my desk. I have it's being reviewed at this time. I'll share it with the city attorney, and that's scheduled to be published for Friday the 19th. Been on the phone actually with Patrick Dobbins, our former city engineer here in town, because he's the head of the American Public Works Association. He's going to help distribute that for me, and so we can get some good bids on that. That would be awarded in October when the process is done. So, and then we have our new email system that's been a real challenge. I appreciate the public and everyone else's patience with our transition to Office 365. Is finally came into the 21st century is what I think. Now if I can get my cell phone to do that, I'm continuing to have trouble with a cell tower from AT&T. So I do appreciate people's patience. I tested my phone twice and got complaints all day long that it was going straight to voicemail. So anyway, appreciate that. That seems to be my problem with AT&T. Rudy Park, of course, is a month late, but Scott, I've been told that the street will be closed tomorrow, and that there will be a crane out there placing the restroom in its place. So yeah, that's what a PIC plan is, and traffic control plan, and so the bathroom should arrive tomorrow. And we should be all done by August 26th. Our crew is going to save us about 10 grand and install the lights in the park, the solar lighting. So it should be really nice when it's done. Finally, sorry that was so problematic. Next, we have other facility projects that we're working on. The Franklin Park dedication bench is due in mid-September, so we hope to have a dedication there. We have a friend of the cities that's helping with our succulents downtown, and she's going to help us work with the community to get the corner of the Franklin's Park planted with succulents. That was something that originally the community wanted to step up and do. So she's a teacher and she teaches people how to plant succulents. So that should be a neat project. I hope to roll that out before our dedication. The council chambers is pretty much complete. We're still putting finishing touches on it. I don't know why these microphones are in and out like the way they are. So I'll continue to work with sound design to make sure that happens. We met the new school principal last week at San Juan School, and at the same time got to see the fencing being installed there, and it should be completed this week, which is great news. We almost got it in before the school year started, which is tomorrow, I believe. That means that we need to plan for a ribbon cutting, and we talked about Friday, September 2nd, and the superintendent was good to do that at 3 p.m. after school gets out. So that's something to celebrate, I think, giving our children and adults access to the basketball courts and other things. Also spoke with the fundraising team, Teresa Lavanino and others, regarding the track, and they hope to be rolling by October. So that's a good thing moving forward, a good timing there. The community hall acoustics is my next project, and I've assigned that to Carl, and Carl's the one who took charge of the fencing in the school. So, Carl's going to be able to get our community hall acoustics up and repaired hopefully before the end of the calendar year. I'll commit to that, if not sooner. Here's a picture of the fencing going up. It's a black coated fencing that meets the state architect standards. We incurred a little bit of delay and confusion when the state got involved, but we worked it all out. So it's going up. Public Safety Ad Hoc Committee, council members Freeman and Mayor Jordan are part of this. We have 2 reports on tonight's agenda regarding becoming a standing committee and also a review of law enforcement as a result of some really great meetings we've been having with the sheriff the first Wednesday of every month. So we've been making progress and improving communication in those two as represented in these 2 reports coming forward tonight. We had a weed abatement proposal from Commissioner Maderos received by the Public Safety Ad Hoc Committee. And it was a great suggestion to centralize and make things simpler for property owners. And in review with the fire chief and I, and Public Works, we thought we could implement a policy similar to Commissioner Maderos by simply having a list of contractors that we vetted for property owners to call and select from to make it easier for them to access a qualified vendor to cut the weeds in their yards if they need help doing that. So thank you, Commissioner Maderos, for that proposal, and appreciate your thought and patience with that. Planning Commission, we had a really interesting Planning Commission presentation of the development around San Juan Bautista, the first Tuesday of the month in August. And I thought it was fascinating to see how all the different projects are coming together. I provided the PowerPoint presentation to the City Council. So we didn't ask the county to do a second presentation tonight, but there are a lot of things going on in Bettabel, in San Juan Oaks, and all around us. We got an update on Strata Verde, which was great. So that presentation is available. If any members of the public would like an update, they can access that online and check it out. So also at the Planning Commission, we did discuss the open letter, and the shared presentation was discussed at length by the Planning Commission, and no action was taken except to gratitude for Commissioner Maderos for all the work and study and slides that he put into that. And he spoke earlier today, so that's all I need to say on the open letter. We have a commissioner appointment scheduled tonight. That's very exciting. And then we have a new vacancy, unfortunately. So we're asking the council to approve our initiation for recruitment for that vacancy. Right now for the community development work that we're doing is the Sphere of Influence project. And that's also on tonight's agenda as we talk about guidelines. I've had a lot of feedback regarding a sign ordinance compliance and an advisory letter that we handed out 30 days ago. Code Enforcement Officer Brown went door to door and handed that to the property owners. So I think we've done as much as we can, and we've had 30 days to work with business owners. So now we're going to gently go and begin to enforce this. There is a provision in the code where if someone has a sign that they think deserves extra consideration and exception, if you will, that appeal can be made to the Planning Department, Planning Commission. And so if there are exceptions to the policy, the commission will happily receive them and we can review that. So it's a long time since we've enforced this ordinance. So we blanketed the whole community as to try and treat everyone equally. And then as the issues come forward, handle those on a case-by-case basis. We have the next step in compliance will be the fence ordinance that was approved more than a year ago. It's taken us a long time to get out to the property owners along Highway 156 and work with those who have fences that are taller than 6 feet. They're legal, but they need to be permitted and made sure that they're safe. So we need to do some compliance out there as well. Once again, we'll blanket every property owner along Highway 156 and then work with each on an individual basis. We might require inspection for those existing fences that are already taller than they were than the 6 feet code. We have a building code update coming soon, which includes a lot of greenhouse gas and state laws in it, which makes it easier for our community who's building to understand what the rules and regulations are to make sure that they have things like solar panels and access to heat pumps and other things to make their homes more efficient and effective. So that's a good thing that the building code is being updated. Give you a heads up on that. And the 4-leaf contract, they provide our building official and permit and inspections. That contract is coming up for renewal as well. Quickly, other development status. We've heard a lot about the Orchards project. We had a meeting scheduled today with the developer on that. Got postponed until Thursday. So we expect their application to be resubmitted this month. No other applications have been received in July or are expected in August. That's the only one that seems to be active and moving forward at this time. The Orchards is the development between Lang and the Alameda and back where the Walnut Orchard is there at the end of Lang Street. The Loaiza subdivision parcel map We recorded, Bob, August or September? We had- Right, so we have that meeting Thursday afternoon at 2, right? So we're still working with the Loazes to get that done. And then the gas station, the developer, the Alameda Enterprises went out and did some new traffic counts August 2nd, and those numbers were shared with Bob and I last week. And so we need to refine that and get that back to them. We told the council that we would get that back at this meeting, but because the numbers have been updated and the fair share is being recalculated, we won't be able to bring that forward until the 20th of September. So those are some of the bigger development projects. Councilmember Edge in particular had asked about accessibility downtown and handicap parking. And we did commission a study, about a 5-page study on accessory dwelling, Americans with Disability Act. And we're able to integrate that now into our active transportation plan. Surprisingly, they found that the street parking where handicap is indicated downtown is located next to a corner where there is wheelchair access. So it's not as bad as we thought, but we need to do a comprehensive study of all the ADA needs in the city. And this is how we prioritize and then budget as we can to fix them. So as we fix sidewalks, as we noticed on the new 3rd Street improvements, that's all ADA accessible. We'll try and work that into every public works project going forward. And that's a strategy that we need to do to convince the judge, if necessary, that we're doing our best to address these issues. And when we have a study and we have priorities. So we'll be talking about our pavement management plan. And we'll be showing maps of how these are linked and integrated now with the sidewalk and accessibility repair with the street improvements. So yes, that's later in the agenda tonight. We talked about speed humps on 2nd Street, and I convened a study back in August 2021 about the safety of 2nd and 4th Street at the request of, I believe it was Chair Delgado, and realized that I'd never seen the final study until just last week. So I asked for the deliverable on that, and we have some recommendations coming forward, and they're going to add the review of speed humps to slow traffic on 2nd Street. And I think most importantly, we need to be able to coordinate that with the fire department and their access and emergency response. So whether they have slats throughout, I'm not sure, but I need to do some more work before they magically appear on 2nd Street. I hope you can understand. Okay. Real quick, this was not on my original slides because I didn't see the sign until Monday when I came to work that Highway 156 is going to be under construction August 22nd. And so I was on the phone today with Terry Thompson. She was very helpful. I thought we would have a pre-construction meeting with Caltrans. This is a different project manager that I met 6 months ago. So she's explaining here in this email what they're doing, what they're planning to do. So there will be traffic control signs in and around the Alameda. And I clarified with her today, it looked like the Alameda was going to be closed heading towards Hollister, south and east, to 1 lane, but she said, no, it's just a shoulder that's being closed and that the 2 lanes will remain open. And this is the first phase of the project. So it sounds like there will be some inconvenience, but we're hoping, and they've taken every step they can to avoid impacting San Juan Bautista. And I explained to her that if the traffic gets any worse there, that more and more folks will be diverting through town to get to the 129 to get to the 101. And so this is really important, and we want to stay on top of this and manage this as best we can. So we do have the traffic plans. The city engineer has the traffic plans now, and so we're reviewing them in case we have any questions or concerns. So real quick, with water, we have the water rate ordinance on tonight's agenda. We have the question that came up in our last meeting about the ad valorem tax. It's about $105 per parcel, was established in 1977. If we reduce our use of groundwater by 65%, could that tax be reduced by 65%? And in discussion with the water district, that tax is going to pay for a fixed cost, which is debt. And so the debt to install the blue valve, the pumps and the piping that was required to move the water to our aquifer, to replenish our aquifer, is a cost that's already been incurred. So it's not as simple as reducing that by 65%. So I did look into that, and I just wanted to respond to it. HRD is the engineering firm that's designing the pipeline from the San Benito Water District's Westfield Treatment Plant. And they had halted their design until we considered rate increases. And so I've been assured that their design has now been resumed, which is good. We hope to get this project out to bid in the next 6 to 8 months. And we have 2 agreements coming forward to the city council with the San Benito County Water District related to our import of drinking water. And that is one for the $8 million capital improvement, the pipeline itself. And then we have a second agreement, which will cause the city to become a partner in the Hollister Urban Area Agreement. And I go into more detail on that in the water ordinance discussion later tonight. In wastewater, we are negotiating with Hollister about the final path of travel. Otherwise, our design is complete. We're having to remove some trees on the Hollister plant to run our pipes so that it's not in the middle of their levee. And once we get those changes buttoned up, we'll be ready to go. We are working with the United States Fish and Wildlife Services to expedite their permit review. They're working on a biological study that they told us initially would take 130 days, which delays our project greatly. That was 2 months ago. So we have submitted a request of urgency, and the USDA came up to support us and also submitted a letter that the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service get their review done quicker, sooner than later. So that's a great help. We have a deadline for the USDA to have our grant and loan application completed by the 5th of August. And we met that deadline. So that means that we're in the current fiscal year, and we don't have to wait until October when the new federal fiscal year starts. So that's all good news. And on the financing side and how we're working together with our federal partners to move the project forward. SRF stands for the State Revolving Loan Fund, and that's the Water Board Drinking Water Act funds. And we're very near getting this application completed. And the goal is the state will publish a priority project list at the end of August. And we're certain that our project will be on that list, which will make it eligible for the SRF funding. So rather than the 4% interest that we're looking at for just a conventional loan, we're going to be able to get that down to 1.5%. So that's the status on the funding of these projects. Didn't think we were eligible for community development block grant funds. And this is a big pot of money that we can tap into. We're going to take one more look at it tomorrow at 3. And the deadline for applying for those funds is this Friday. So that's the kind of thing that keeps me out of trouble. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much. Questions, comments, concerns from the council. Vice Mayor Flores.
No questions, but a good report there, City Manager. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Friels.
Just a couple. Leo's a subdivision. Is that a minor subdivision? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
Oh, I asked if the Leo's project was a minor subdivision.
Yes, less than four parcels.
Less than 4. Okay. Did you say the gas station owner did their own traffic count? Is that how we normally do it?
Yeah, and then it gets reviewed by our engineering team. So, and it's done by, what we were looking for, Councilmember Friels, was an update. Their numbers were old, like 2015. And we've seen just in the past few years how that right-hand turn lane is getting used more than ever. And the counts actually may be high enough now to meet their standards for providing that lane. And so the question that Attorney Bob and I have to answer is, are we building it too big, or is it piled up to the size that it needs to be?
In the fact that it may not be oversized at this point.
Okay. Yeah, it is getting busier. I have a friend that lives right there on Lang Street. I can attest to that. It's busy. Good point you brought up with Caltrans about folks avoiding the parking lot. That big rig, the reason he went through town is because 156 West was a parking lot. So his ways probably sent him right through town. So that was a good point that you brought up, Caltrans. Sometimes I don't think they quite think of the little guys like that, you know?
Right. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And no, thank you for the rest. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Freeman.
Thank you. Shut it off. Following up on what Scott was just saying, I was wondering about the ways of subdivision. Is it, it's subject to the MAP Act, even though it's only 4 homes?
Yeah, it's a subject to the MAP Act.
Okay,
They had a tentative map, tentative parcel map, and now they have a parcel map pending. What we're waiting on right now is the completion of the improvement bonds. We have to have performance and payment bonds for the work for the public improvements, which is around, I think it's $500,000 that they have to bond for.
so there's a timeline once it gets to a tentative map, is that correct? Is,
The tentative map has been approved. The council approved the tentative map.
okay,
yes.
so
We're
we,
not recorded, nor will we record it until we get the bonds.
so the clock doesn't start till it's recorded then, I presume, or something like that.
The clock isn't running now because it is an approved map.
Okay, thank you. No other questions.
Thank you very much. First, welcome Deputy City Clerk Melissa Lee.
Thank you, Mayor.
City Manager, fill the commissioner vacancy starting 8/17 with an appointment on 9/20. Is that up on the city's website?
It's on tonight's agenda, so it'd be up on the website tomorrow.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Speed humps. There have been discussions about having them on First Street as well. If we can look at that. I mean, that was brought up a long time ago. Also,
First Street, okay, that's not what I'm studying currently.
coming through the one-way sign and going out towards 129 towards the roundabout.
I'll add that, I just, Sean Hauk designed the roundabout for us for Meritage, for the city's request, and I've just signed a small contract for him to review the safety out there and the signage. Not only the truck signage at Prescott coming into our town, but the need for a stop sign, the 3-way stop at Wanhee. And I can add speed humps to that request. I just signed it this morning, so.
Awesome. Thank you very much. That was asked and answered. Thank you. Any questions, comments, and concerns? Thank you very much for those. Questions, comments, and concerns from the chambers?
Mayor, we have one public comment. Sir, would you like to step up?
Hi, again,
Thank you
Steve
very
Harris.
much. Hi,
Steve
Steve.
Harris, 705 First Street. Thank you for bringing up the speed humps on First. I brought them up a long time ago, so maybe it was my comments or my complaint to the city about that. One of my ideas too was also, at that time, Third Street was 15 miles an hour. I said, we should probably make it city, bring it down to 15 miles an hour in the city and add speed humps. I was told that couldn't happen. But then COVID hit and I went to 5 miles an hour on Third Street. And that brought it up to Second, which we're talking about now to slow people down because that's where the traffic's gonna go. They're not gonna go through downtown. They're gonna find different diversions. And I think that speed humps is probably gonna be it. I think what we've got downtown is probably good there to stay. And I'd love it if somebody came up on a Friday night. I'll sit there on my porch with you, buy you a beer, and we can watch the speed race that happens there every Friday. I hate to see something happen to one of the children or play in the street up there for something to happen. So I just want to put that back in your thought process. I think perhaps maybe getting our speed limit down to 15 miles an hour citywide might help a little bit, and speed humps might cross the path for us too. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other comments from the chambers?
Mayor, we have one other comment.
Thank you very much.
Hello, Michael Ponce, 803 First Street.
Hey,
I just
Michael,
wanna
welcome.
Piggyback up to Steve. I also live on First Street, down the street from him. And I know that you did this study August 2021, but was that study only for Second and Fourth Street, not the entire town? Is one of my questions. And I'm glad that we're talking about speed humps again, because probably last year I spoke at a council and I get the feeling that speed humps and bumps, there's two difference, that they were a 1920s mentality. And I was very disappointed in hearing that, because in every city that you drive, they have speed humps and speed bumps. And I cannot remember the difference. I used to know the difference. I think the bumps are higher and the humps are lower. And my suggestion, when you're talking to whoever did this traffic study, since people are not stopping at stop signs and we have no way to police them, Sheriff Miller just said he did a couple of traffic violations last month. We all know the driving habits in San Juan. If we can put speed humps at the stop signs, at least we can slow them down instead of going 30, 40 miles an hour through the stop signs. Just a suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mayor, we have no further public comments.
Thank you very much. Questions, comments, and concerns from Zoom?
Thank you, Mayor. We do have someone with their hand raised right now. So as I'm bringing in Jackie, I'll explain to the rest of those who are attending tonight. Thank you for being here. Please use the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen. Or if you are calling in, press *9, your hand will be raised. You'll be brought into the meeting. And once you unmute yourself, for the person who is dialed in, that would be unmute yourself by pressing *6, and then your 3-minute time will start. And so again, if you want to speak and have comments specifically to the city manager's report, please raise your hand at this time. This is your opportunity to speak. Jackie, I believe I brought you in. So when you unmute, your 3-minute time will start.
Thank you, Jackie. Welcome.
Yes, thank you. Jackie Morris Lopez, 46 Mission Street, resident planning commissioner. So I just have a couple comments and regarding city manager Don Reynolds' comment about the surrounding area developments on the horizon that were presented by the RMA staff from the county last planning commission meeting. There's several things that are now up on the county website. Really importantly, clock ticking for a 45-day public comment review on the EIR, I believe on Strada Verde, or the Betabel node, excuse me. You can go to the county website and there's several things that are happening. So I encourage everyone that wants to comment that they do that, because the clock is ticking on those projects, on at least one of them for sure. The other comment or question I have, I guess, is about the Leoza project. Councilman Friels asked if it was a mini subdivision, and I think I faintly heard yes. So I guess for transparency for the public, what is considered a mini subdivision? I understand that it's a 16-acre lot. That's huge. So if you're talking, what I thought I heard was 4 or 5 homes, that's roughly, right around 4 acres per house, or a little less if you're talking about 5 homes. And I got several calls over the last weekend from concerned citizens regarding the movement of dirt out there. And I did call Assistant City Manager Brian Fouch, and I was told that the movement of the dirt or grading had to do with some drainage issues from Rancho Vista. But I also want to step further, and for public transparency, that spoke to the engineer that's contracted for our city, and he said that this was a phase 1 sort of plan. So phase 1 leads me to assume that there's going to be phase 2. So, and also considering that you're saying mini subdivision, 4 homes on 16 acres, Are we doing McMansions again, like a house to 4 acres? It concerns me. I think it should concern anyone that's sitting there at the dais to get more facts. And once again, I don't know the process of, I find out as a planning commissioner, once again, of preliminary happenings with projects at the city council meeting. And it would be nice to have these discussed openly and preliminary with the planning commission and not have to come to these meetings to hear about things. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Madam Mayor, if I could just clarify it, I did not ask if it was a mini subdivision. I asked if it was a minor subdivision.
Thank you for that clarification.
Jackie does still have 7 seconds remaining on her time and is still here with hand raised.
Thank
Madam
you.
Mayor, would you like her to finish up a 7 seconds?
Noted, Councilman Freeman, Friels, thank you. And also just as a reminder, that subdivision or minor subdivision is close to 3 or 2 sitting councilmen. Thank you, when it comes up for review.
Okay. And that is time up there, so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. We do have one more hand raised here, bringing in David. Your 3-minute time will start once you unmute yourself.
Thank you. Welcome, David.
Hello. Yeah, Dave Medeiros to 1026 First Street. Yeah, I'm just thinking about the, as far as traffic management on First Street, that still needs to be looked at. But one of the things I noticed, there is no traffic signs coming into town after the roundabout. It just seems to be open there. So that might be one thing to consider. The other thing is more traffic signs for First Street, if you're going to start anything as far as traffic management goes. The other thing is from Public Works, I found out that the lift pump at First Street, waste pump that pumps waste material into our waste ponds, whatever it goes to. I understand that it's been plugged up, and I'm just wondering, are we just waiting to see if this thing gets plugged up all the time? Is there any kind of inspection that's being done to make sure that it stays unplugged, kind of a thing? And if we're going to do something like that, maybe somebody from the First Street area should look into that. If it's a simple thing where we can just look at that every other day or so to make sure there's no debris in the filtering system. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. And we have no other hands raised at this time, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Moving on to action items. 5A, the appointment of Tony Correa to the Planning Commission. It is the recommendation of Vice Mayor Flores and myself, who sat on the committee, to approve Tony as our new Planning Commissioner. In the packet, you all have his CV. If you have any questions of Tony, you can ask them now, or any comments before the council takes action on this. Vice Mayor Flores, questions, comments, concerns of Tony?
I have no questions. I looked at your submittal and man, you're very well qualified to take that position. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Friels?
No questions. I'm very familiar with Mr. Correa's pedigree, so to speak.
Mr. Freeman, guys, I'm sorry. I got the Mr. in there. Councilmember Freeman.
Thank you. I met with Mr. Correa several weeks ago for a couple of hours. Find him eminently qualified and a great addition to our planning commission and such. It's the type of people we need on our planning commission, one with experience from Fresno County, et cetera, one with experience in private business, and one with experience in dealing with governmental agencies. And that's that's invaluable, and I welcome him. If we all vote yes, I welcome him to the planning commission. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Questions, comments, concerns from the chambers?
Mayor, I have no comments from chambers.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions of Tony from Zoom?
Those who are joining us tonight on Zoom, please use the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen. For those who have dialed in, please press *9. That will raise your hand and you will have 3 minutes to speak on this agenda item. And I am bringing in Jackie. And your 3-minute time will start, Jackie.
Thank you very much. Welcome, Jackie.
Thank you once again. And I just want to say welcome to Mr. Correa. I look forward to having you work on the commission, and congratulations. And once again, welcome.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other public comment?
We do. I'm bringing in David.
Thank you. Welcome, David.
I just have to say ditto on the last comment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Council, may I now have a motion to appoint Tony Correa to the Planning Commission?
So moved.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor Flores. Do I have a second?
Go ahead, Scott.
I'll second it.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Friels. May I please have a roll call vote?
Councilmember Flores,
Yes.
Councilmember Friels,
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman,
Yes.
Mayor Jordan,
Yes.
and Mayor, the motion as stated passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. It is with great pleasure. I welcome Tony to the Planning Commission and Historic Resources Board. Tony, welcome. Come on in.
Point of clarification,
Go ahead.
Madam Mayor.
Go ahead, Vice Mayor Flores.
Yes, he is replacing Dr. Baines, and the appointment is from 12/20 to 12/24. Am I correct?
Correct.
Okay, just for the record.
Thank you very much. Once again, Tony, welcome. Congratulations. Thank you for volunteering.
Well, thank you. I look forward to working with the Planning Commission.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Do you have any questions, Tony?
Hey,
I don't think so. I suspect I'll have a few once I get started.
thank you. Go ahead, Councilmember Friels.
Didn't have anything for Tony. I was just, you mentioned that there's another planning commission position open also. Is that correct? Okay. Mike, I'm looking at you. I know. Had to put
Thank
you on
you.
the spot.
Yeah, right. We already have that earmarked. Thank you very much, Tony, and welcome again.
Thank you.
5B, approve a resolution adopting the community plan guiding principles. Assistant City Manager Brian Fouch.
Good evening. Can you hear me okay?
We can, thank you.
Great. So the City Council previously approved Resolution 2022-13, establishing the community plan program, and including community engagement program. We did conduct that community engagement program, and as a result, we did understand that there were some significant concerns about the effect of the plan on community character, in particular, just an overarching concern. And of course, that's expressed in many different ways. Community character has a lot to do with many different variables, ranging from specific project design guidelines, the way projects are proposed and reviewed, all the way to establishing areas for conservation and preservation and so forth. So, there's a lot there in the community character concern, and our concern, staff's concern, is that we didn't really have a way to address these concerns in a cohesive way. And we think that they're relevant, they're important, they're critical to the success of the planning effort, critical to the success of the plan as we move forward to environmental review once the plan is adopted. And for that reason, we felt it was important to put forth a set of guiding principles that we are recommending, actually, the City Council consider carefully a set of 12 principles that will guide the planning process and guide the planning program once adopted. And I'll go through those in a minute. Our intent here is not to allay concerns. It's not to mollify concerns. It's to directly address things that we think are critical to the community. And so I just want to make that clear. We're not trying to make anybody feel better here, but what we are trying to do is set forth some principles that we believe are especially important as the plan moves forward. And so I'd like to share the screen. We did have, by the way, some public comment that came in from Caravonk regarding these principles, and I will go over those comments and suggest modifications. They're not very significant, not very many, that is, to the recommended design principles if the City Council chooses to adopt them. So I'm going to share the screen, and I'd like to go through these principles, if you will. Let me make sure I have the right one. Yeah, so can everyone see this?
We can, thank you.
Okay, great. So as an attachment to the resolution just simply goes through the chronology, if you will, of the community plan formation. That is how we got to the scope of work where we are right now, and the importance of the guiding principles for the plan as I just described. And attachment A begins with really an overarching concern with the community plan involving concepts, including the sphere of influence, urban growth boundary, planning area, municipal service area, and the necessity to configure these areas in a way that preserves, protects, and enhances San Juan Bautista's unique and special character. And then the community plan would extend and concentrate those provisions further into the areas that we're concerned with, so that unique character can continue to serve as the city's strength on into the future. So this is a very important overarching concern, one that I think everybody shares with respect to this plan. And then we want the community plan to accomplish overall preservation, conservation, and development policies, guidelines, and standards, because that's really what we're all about here. That's the nature of the plan itself. In item 3, the community plan needs to recognize that there are 4 different discrete community design sub-areas, each of which have their own characteristics around the community. Different things are important in different areas. And so the plan will emphasize the importance of some of these things more than others in the 4 areas referenced in this item. And so you can see here the range of things that we think the community plan needs to address. And I purposely did not reference specific design, community design attributes for these 4 areas now, because I think that it's important that the community plan bring those things forward for community review, not presuppose that the north, south, east, and west will have certain design principles attributed to them before the plan gets off the ground. So it's important that, you know, we do listen to continue to listen to the community as we prepare the plan and put forward policies and implementation measures. So this is a pretty long list, but they're all important. And then we want the community plan to take into account natural and cultural features, watersheds, habitats, things that we all when we look around, what gives the community character in the natural world that's relatively unaltered historically, that gives us our ambiance, and that these are important considerations as we consider community character. And then, of course, you know, we know San Juan Bautista does not sprawl. There's no intention in this community plan that we will have a community that does sprawl. And so we want there to be contiguous development, and we want that contiguous development to be compatible with the areas that are currently developed, with the exception in item 6, where a contiguous pattern of development would result in furthering design approaches that are inconsistent with the existing or proposed new guidelines that we have for the intended to preserve the city's historic character. So we want to be sure that where there's an inconsistency that has been developed, we don't continue that on into the future. And then we want the community plan to build on the historic San Juan Bautista plan, design guidelines, general plan elements, things that have already been adopted that people rely on when they make decisions about land use and patterns of development in San Juan Bautista. We want the community plan to incorporate design principles to preserve and conserve and enhance visual and physical access. These are all accessibility sort of considerations that are important at the landscape level. And by that, I mean landscape at the very broad level that when you look at out from the community, you're looking at a landscape, you're looking at acres and acres of ag land or pasture land or conserved open space of some sort. Then with respect to what we want the community plan to incorporate, more specifically, this list gives us an idea regarding what the community plan should address: gateways, edges, neighborhood patterns of design, shared parking, housing choice, and so forth, and then architecture that celebrates our history, climate, ecology, building practice, and so forth. So, you know, these are things that we don't really want to, as I said before, we don't want to call out yet what we think the plan will do when they address these items, but we do want the plan to address them. And so this is at the level, as I said, overarching principles that we want the plan to achieve. And then we want, you know, currently we have guidelines, design guidelines. We have an historic San Juan Bautista plan. We have a general plan. However, some of these guidelines are, for example, in the design guidelines for residential projects, are very project oriented. And we want the plan to address community character in a more general sense, perhaps, and deal with things like edges, what the urban pattern should look like in our community plan areas, and so that we end up enhancing and strengthening our community character as we do this. We want to foster some things: creative placemaking, common civic and community values and experiences. No one would find this principle to be a problem, because this is really what we're trying to achieve in our community. At least I don't think so. And then what we want the community plan to reference policies, design guidelines, programs to reduce automobile trips, ease the flow of traffic, make things more efficient with respect to transportation, to address climate change, and to address some key issues that we have with respect to the way people move around town. And then we want the community plan to incorporate a balance of modes of travel to encourage a healthy community and healthy families. And we want to ensure that every resident within the city should be able to easily access all these attributes, wonderful attributes that the community has to offer. And so we did have some comment regarding these principles from Kara Vonk. And what Kara is suggesting is that we include with reference to archaeological conservation zones, in particular in items 3 and 4, and also that we reference the hard work that the community has undertaken over the past several years with respect to historic preservation ordinance, our hillside regulations, and anything having to do with landscape preservation, which is also part of our historic character. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you now a modified version of that resolution with those changes so that you can get an idea regarding how those changes would look in the context of this resolution. Let's see if I can make it work here. Here we go. So Ms. Vonk is suggesting that item 3 be changed to incorporate the reference to the archaeological zone conservation. And in addition, recommending that the community plan, in addition to all these other attributes, recognized archaeological zones. And I did insert the word recognized. My concern with respect to having archaeological zones referenced in these principles is that the principles are so important and fundamental to the plan that we want to make sure that we're dealing with things that are actually capable of being validated as we go through the plan. And finally, Ms. Vonk is suggesting that we reference our municipal code provisions. And I think it's important to say including but not limited to development in relation to natural landscapes and historic preservation. And because we are looking at ordinances, it's important to include the word standards. And ordinarily we do a plan like this and then we develop ordinances to follow. But in this case, I certainly agree that our ordinances are very important to consider at this level of importance. So if the council wishes, I would recommend certainly that those changes be incorporated into the resolution. And that is the staff report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Attorney Rathi, at this moment, do we actually read Kara Vonk's?
That would be, I think, appropriate for the record, yes.
Thank you very much.
Only the changes that are recommended.
I can do that if you like.
Thank you very much. We have the deputy city clerk to read.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Are we looking to verify Kara is with us to read her comments or no? On Zoom?
Is Kara Vonk on Zoom?
Kara is not in attendance tonight on Zoom.
Thank you very much. If you could please read her comments.
Following are my comments on the community plan guiding principles. Resolution. The principles should also be derived from the city's municipal zoning code, which covers principles such as historic resources, preservation, hillside development, landscape, etc. This would be in addition to the listed historic San Juan Bautista plan, design guidelines, etc. Exhibit A, item 3, the community plan overall and sub-area provisions shall address, add archaeological zone conservation. Item 4, the community plan shall take into account, including, add archaeological zones. The area around Mission Vineyards and the canyon has been documented to be a significant archaeological zone to the degree that it was recommended for nomination as a National Register Historic District. It would be irresponsible not to take into account archaeological deposits or zones in the community planning process. As noted above, the city zoning code should also be identified as a provision to take into account. Thank you for considering my comments. Please make my comments part of the record.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other public comment in the chambers?
Mayor, we have no comment in chambers.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I missed the council first. Council member, Vice Mayor Flores, questions, comments, concerns?
No comments, but good suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Council member Friels?
Yeah, I've got a couple things. I read Cara's email and she's brought this up in the past, and I've asked a few times for any sort supporting documentation on what's being called the San Juan Canyon historic plan. I have never seen anything. That doesn't mean it's there or not there, but I've asked for it before and I've never seen it. Would be nice to get that documentation. I think some confusion with the San Juan Canyon part is that when we were meeting as the Sphere of Influence ad hoc committee, I know that council member Edge was the sole member that wanted the that base of the canyon, which is a cement plant, and because of the historic value of the plant. But in talking to her in the last few months, she's actually kind of pulled back a little bit on that, mainly because of the San Juan Canyon is in a, well, she's got her concerns on it. I don't want to speak for her, but my concerns about the San Juan Canyon originally were it's in a high fire severity zone, and we don't want a piece of that at all. We don't need insurance companies breathing down our necks about about being anywhere near a high fire severity zone. So I would love to see supporting documents just as an amateur historian. I'd love to see that on the archaeological finds or anything that happened in the canyon or the base of the canyon. Design guidelines definitely need to be I believe need to be included in any type of a what are we looking at? It's called the guiding principles. And I'll give a good example. When I was on the planning commission, the architect for the Copperleaf subdivision, I'm almost positive it was Copperleaf, told us that he was a little bit confused about the mission style of construction and that there were no good examples of mission style construction in San Juan. So I asked him to walk out the door and look to the southeast, and he'll have the largest example of mission style construction in California. He can take a picture of it. So that's that's something I think should be in it. This is a long list. This is a lot of stuff. I already talked to our city manager about this. It's a lot to absorb. I wrote another comment up here, but I'll be darned if I can read what I wrote. Chicken scratch. I'm hoping that this is more of an introduction than actually making a decision on this tonight. I've just scratched the surface on reading through it, and the amendment, and just trying to just the definitions of some things. And it seems like a lot of there's been stuff added. It seems like, I know Brian said we're not sprawling, but we really are. I mean, we have a subdivision that's across the freeway that's not even basically attached to town. So, you know, except by a little tentacle. So we are kind of sprawling a bit. So just, I'm asking that we hear this tonight, then get a chance to take another shot at it, read through it a little bit more, and absorb more of what we're being asked for this. I was confused originally because we do have design guidelines. We do have, you know, we do have everything to move on. And I understand putting it all under one roof to make it a little simpler. But we might have forgot a few things. And there may be some things in here that really have nothing to do with us. As far as I know, I haven't had a chance to really absorb it all. And I know that walkability is big thing. If I have to hear greenhouse gas one more time, I'm going to throw up. But apparently that's the new buzzwords. So just there's a lot. This is, I don't know if anybody else was overwhelmed by this, but this is a lot of stuff to go through and to see if it's even in our municipal, a lot of stuff's in our municipal code. What are we gonna have to add to municipal code to be able to build this plan? Are we gonna delete anything from the municipal code to build this plan? It's just, if we could continue it, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Freeman?
Excuse me. Thank you. I too have a few comments. In a situation like this, I like to go back to the controlling law, and the controlling law is the San Juan General Plan. And so on page 12 of the land use section of the San Juan General Plan, it states, and I'm going to quote a little bit, hopefully not too much, that San Juan is a city surrounded by a thriving agricultural setting. That's number one. Number two, in the plan, it's a balanced and diversified, and I'm going to repeat that word one more time, diversified, because it's very important to me, set of land uses. Number three, a compact city with a distinctive architecture. Maybe we should just take out distinctive and put in mission. I would be fine with that, but the plan says distinctive. And number four, it says a walkable, pedestrian friendly, and visually rich city. So, and Scott is right. This is a lot, and this is huge. And those, and this is kind of the meat on the bones of those four main items that the general plan lays out very clearly. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure that we're ready to do all of this in all four areas. I'm talking about north, south, east, and west. As for me, I would like to just concentrate on south, you know, and kind of improve that a little bit. And when I mean improve, I mean develop a little bit, not housing. And I'm going to go into my lecture now, and so you can all go to sleep or listen. But a city is a three-legged stool, and it's residential, commercial, and light industrial. And to stand properly, you need all three. And people, you know, I've lived here 21 years now, but people tell me, people like Scott, who I really appreciate, and you know, oh, the golden days of San Juan, we had this cement plant and everyone worked there. Well, guess what? That's industrial. And that's one of the legs that's what made San Juan so great back then, is it had this industrial component that kept it going. And now we don't really have that anymore. We have commercial, and mainly it's on 3rd Street. We need to develop it a little better. It's still a lot of, not a lot, but there's more than a few empty storefronts. I hope to propose in the near future what's called a vacancy tax. And that would be something that would go on to the landlord of said empty storefront, that after a certain period of time, which would be decided by the council, in other cities that have it, the magic number is 6 months, the landlord starts getting an extra tax until he or she finds a tenant for that storefront. And because no one wants to go to an historical town and see boarded up lousy stores, or not even stores, just storefronts. So that's where we need a lot of emphasis in a community plan. And I also think we need some emphasis south of 156 in very small and commercial, industrial. We've tried cannabis. It hasn't worked for a variety of reasons. Some of it due to the cannabis industry itself, some of it due to other reasons. But maybe we should move on. We have there's a warehouse for distributing fish. That's the type of business I'm thinking of, one that looks nice, one that we can make it into a mission architecture and not be sprawling homes, and yet provide good paying jobs for residents of San Juan. Here it goes again, Scott, I'm sorry, but if we want to slow down greenhouse gas emission, one of the things we have to do is make jobs for people in this area. And so that you're not commuting 50 miles to work and back, because that is greenhouse gas emissions, no matter what. So I think I've talked enough. I would like to, like Scott, I'd like to think about it, chew on it for a while, talk it over with city management, and come back next month or so, something like that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Public comment in the chambers?
Forgot yourself.
I'll speak. Thank you. Thank you. very
Mayor,
much.
we have one public comment.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Michael Groves, president of EMC Planning Group. Here working.
Hey, hi, Michael. Welcome. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, how about
Thank you.
10 minutes? But
You have 3 minutes. Thank you very much.
I just want to, in support of Brian bringing this to you and whether you continue it or not, I just want to put some bigger picture context to it. This is just a very small component of the community plan. And the purpose of the community plan was really to set out, yes, looking at development at the south area, but also looking at the entire area around the city in terms of the urban growth boundary and the sphere of influence. So that's the purpose of the community plan. This is an attempt to insert some guiding principles for us to work through the plan with. So we're still going to write the plan, incorporating some guiding principles and bring it back to you. You have public hearings, you have time to review it, the staff will review it again, et cetera, et cetera. So this is just a little stepping stone in the process. And we want to do that so that we can make sure that you're on the same page with us in terms of what the guiding principles are. It's very, very straightforward. So again, these are the big overarching principles. That's what you're looking for in this. So understand it's just a stepping stone in the process for the community plan to be brought forward. We want to try to bring that community plan to you in, by October, I hope. So that's the goal. And again, I want you will get probably from the Planning Commission, some recommendation about, whether those boundaries are accurate boundaries that we have drawn. And so those maps are available. They're on the website. Please look at those. That's a big part of it as well, because there's been at least one property owner request to change those. And there's been a suggestion from staff on one change. I want you to look at those and make sure you're also considering those and giving some recommendations about those boundaries. And if that's going to be your urban growth boundary, is that what you want? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor Jordan. I did have a conversation with Councilmember Edge briefly this afternoon. She was also hoping that we would delay any decisions tonight so that she could weigh in on it in September when she's feeling better.
Thank you very much. Okay, public comment. Any further public comment from the chambers?
No further comment.
Thank you very much. Public comment from Zoom.
Thank you, Mayor. We do have some members with their hand raised, and as I am bringing in the first person, I do want to remind everyone, if you are joining us by Zoom, you can use the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen to raise your hand. If you have dialed in, press *9, that will raise your hand. You are going to get 3 minutes to speak. I'm bringing in Vanda, and so if you unmute yourself, your 3-minute time will start.
Thank you,
Thank you very
Norma.
much. Welcome, Vanda.
Thank you very much for allowing me to speak again. I have so much to say. I'm going to talk fast. Since the Transportation Connectivity Group has been in town, it's been several months, I have emailed to every single council person at their personal email addresses, at their city addresses, with the documentation about the archaeological zone. I know a lot of mail gets into people's junk mail, but I urge you to look for it, or I will be happy to provide it again. I hand delivered to Michael Groves at one of the open meetings, so he had a copy too. Brian has had a copy. I emailed him again today, a copy. In my hand, I have a 1998 copy from the general plan, the EIR, that discusses the archaeological sites in the mouth of the San Juan Canyon. I mean, I've got documentation up the yin yang. The South San Juan specific plan is nothing new. It came up in 1995, and I've got a 4-page document here that was circulated to the public to oppose the project, and it never happened. When I moved here in 2002, it came up again with a new city manager. It seems to keep coming up again. There's no institutional memory in San Juan except for the Historical Society. We have the archives with the documentation. A number of us have been here for a long time. I've been here same amount of time as John Freeman. So this 1998 document says that the San Juan Canyon was proposed as a historic district in 1973, and National Register status may have been pursued at the time. It was again proposed in 1981, 1995. The local landowners were opposed to it at that time, but it's not the cement plant that makes it archaeologically historic. It's the Native American history. I thank you so much, Brian, for including the archaeological zone in the document. Not having it is a big oversight. I mean, when I was on planning for 10 years, I know that a lot of language is boilerplate. San Juan is a unique historic mission town. It has archaeological resources. It's our job. It's our responsibility to preserve them to the best of our ability. I'm probably going to run out of time.
You're about 45 seconds.
Okay. I feel strongly about this. This plan has come up many times over the years. The residents have opposed it. You have to think long and hard about it. Do you want to be the ones to accept it? The Loaiza property came up for 20 years and it's now been approved, and that's on your, not regime, but that's on your responsibility. If anybody wants to see the documentation we have, I'll be more than happy to provide it. Brian has it. The city can make the copies better than I can. Anyway, thank you for listening to me. I'm sorry I always get so emotional, but I'll take a deep breath now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any further public comment?
We do have a few more. Bringing in Jackie.
Yes, this is Jackie.
Thank you. Welcome, Jackie.
Thank you. I'm going to start my timer. This is Jackie Morris Lopez. Once again, thank you, 46 Mission Street, resident planning commissioner. And Bonda Gabert, thank you. You stole my thunder. I'm glad that you spoke up, because I just wanted to remind Councilman Friels that you do have documentation. And I, like you, have been here longer than everyone that's sitting on the city council, including Scott Friels, because I'm older than him. But anyway, that's besides the point. But I too am a product of the cement plant. My dad worked there for many years, but there's a lot more history out there. You know, we need to be talking to, including the Alma Mutsun tribe, Mr. Valentin Lopez. I have a daughter and son-in-law that live on the Mission Vineyard rectangle, I call it. And they, on their private property, had to call out the sheriff because there was a skeleton remains there. Lo and behold, those are skeleton remains of probably an Alma Mutsun tribes person, and they're intact and they're still there. So that whole area is very rich in archaeological artifacts. I can imagine that there's a lot more than the skeletal remains of one lonely indigenous person. And I think the big question for us as a community, and I agree with Ms. Gobert, that this is something that keeps being repeated and repeated, depending on who is sitting in City Hall. The big question, and I think if we listen really closely, what do the residents want? Do we want San Juan to grow? Do we want it to sprawl to the south side? What is it that we are saying? Because it is all boilerplate verbiage that we read over and over. And I agree that this is a lot that you have on your plate, and this will be setting with your acceptance of this plan at this point. I disagree with Mr. Groves that this is just a stepping stone. I think you need to take a step back, and you need to really decipher this and really look at it and listen to the constituents and go back and read. It's there for you to read. You've got volumes of different codes and ordinances and historical resource book and the general plan. And as far as I understood, that general plan amendment starts with the Planning Commission with us. Okay, and once again, it seems like this is getting pushed kind of above us and sitting on your purview right now. And I think this also needs to be looked at and considered by the Planning Commission. We need to pay close attention because this decision tonight is forever going to affect our little village community. And we can't undo what we go forward with. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, bringing in Danny.
Hi, Dan, welcome.
If you unmute yourself, Dan, your 3-minute timer will start.
Hi there, can you hear me?
We can hear you, thank you.
Excellent, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just here to carry the urban growth boundary flag once again. And to remind everyone that the Urban Growth Boundary Committee was formed not for any purposes having to do with the sphere of influence, and I think Don Reynolds will back me up here, but it was during the inception of the Urban Growth Committee that we figured out that San Juan Bautista didn't have a sphere of influence because, as I like to say as a euphemism, the paperwork was never turned into LAFCO. So the Urban Growth Boundaries Committee's first item of business was to determine a sphere of influence, and that's what we did. But the urban growth boundary as a concept, I just want to, I think Michael said this, so it probably doesn't need any further clarification, but I just wanted to reiterate and make sure that the establishment of an urban growth boundary is part of the EMC work product deliverable, what they're going to do, because that was the intent of the Urban Growth Boundary Committee to begin with. So it is my hope, certainly, that this plan will incorporate that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and I'm going to bring in David.
Thank you, David. Welcome.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the grasp, and this is kind of like happening all at once here. And I've heard so many ways that we're going with this over all the meetings that we've had with EMC and what have you, and Blue Zone and what have you, and how all this is developing. And I kind of agree with everybody's saying about we need to step back and really look at this and bring it through the Planning Commission more readily. One of the things that I'd like to see more muscle put into this is how much weight and effect do we have on the county itself? Where do we go with this? You know, it's nice to think that within a sphere of influence, wherever we're growing into, it's going to be great that we get the guidance in which we will develop our city to be whatever we want it to be. But at the same time, what's going to happen to us on the outside? So I'm really concerned about the San Juan Canyon and the San Juan Valley itself as part of what we need to do. And I know LAFCO is going to help us when we get into that area. So that's what I'm really looking. I don't see that kind of muscle that we need to do as far as San Benito County being a rural county. How is that going to be effective with everything that's going on right now, particularly at San Juan Oaks and what have you? You know, nice that we control things within our boundaries, but at the same time, what's happening outside? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We have no other hands raised at this time, Mayor.
Thank you very much.
I have a couple corrections and a comment if I could.
Okay, because I'm too busy taking notes. Thank you very
Okay.
much, Councilmember Friels.
First, I want to apologize to Wanda. I did not get anything from you. I apologize. I'm still on a Hotmail account and a lot of stuff does go to my junk filter. I hate to call it that because your mail was not junk. As far as the comments about, I do not dispute the fact that there is archaeological sites in the San Juan Canyon. I know where some are. So as a student of local history, I don't dispute that. I just would like to see this documentation and hopefully help in the future to preserve these sites. And one more correction for Vonda. I apologize for correcting you, Vonda, but the last of one of the first attempts to create some type of a light industry on the south end of town was actually in the early 1980s. And that's when my dad was the mayor, and my dad was the person who suggested it and was pushing it, and it got him recalled. So we've been going back a lot farther than 93 on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other public comment?
We do not have any other hands raised on Zoom, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Preserving the nature of this city is, I'm sure, first and foremost on everybody on the council's mind. And we all need to take that into account. As several have pointed out, this is a legacy vote for us. John, thank you for pointing out the general plan, page 12. Those are some very important bullet points that you brought up. I will now entertain a motion from the council establishing a public safety standing. No, I'm sorry. Approve a resolution. Can we get done with this? No, sorry. Yeah, right. Approve a resolution adopting the community plan guiding principles. And thank you again, Brian, for all the work that you've done on this.
May I ask, before the motion gets put on the floor, to make sure that we're all on the same page of this, may I ask something, Mayor?
Go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. For the maker of the motion, if there is to be one, please be specific if you are going to include, if it's going to be the resolution as presented in the packet, or if it's the resolution as presented in staff report with the additions. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So Kara's comments. Yep. Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Madam Mayor. Instead of approving this resolution, what I hear is that we need to extend this thing for a little bit longer so we get more review of it and more input. So I would make a motion. Yes, I would like to make a motion to extend this, not approve it, of course, but have it open for, I don't know what length of time we would need, but at least to the next meeting.
Thank
so
you very much.
Everybody has a chance to review and make any submissions.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Attorney Rathie also had comments.
No, that was my question, was whether the motion was going to be to approve or, as the council discussed, to defer.
Thank you. So the motion put to the council right now is to extend this until September. and take a second look at it in September. And that was proposed by Vice Mayor Flores. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you very much. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Flores,
Aye, with the inclusion of Kara's suggestions.
Mayor Jordan, is the motion to continue to the next meeting?
The motion is solely to continue to the next meeting. Thank you. Councilmember Friels. Oh, I'm sorry. That's your job.
Councilmember Friels,
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman,
Yes.
Mayor Jordan.
Yes.
The motion as presented to extend to the next meeting passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. 5C, approve a resolution establishing a public safety standing committee.
Thank you, Mayor and the members of the City Council. At the last Public Safety Ad Hoc Committee meeting, we celebrated our 12th month. Our first meeting was August 11th, and when we met in July, we were coming up to 1 year. And we noted a lot of accomplishments that the Public Safety Ad Hoc Committee had accomplished and reviewed and recommended to the council, including our first dedicated deputy present tonight. It's a nice meeting. Funding for the Public Safety Initiative. We referred to it as became the Security Camera Project, which is still funded now a second time. And along with that, in our current budget is a second dedicated deputy position for fiscal year 22-23. We initiated a review of the law enforcement contracts. A lot of that is represented in the report to follow this one. And we've recruited and hired a new private security company. So the Public Safety Ad Hoc Committee has been really busy the first year that it existed, but the whole idea of an ad hoc committee is that it be temporary. And so I returned to the ad hoc committee in July and noted these accomplishments, and we had a good conversation about whether the work of the ad hoc committee was done or whether they wanted instead to become a standing committee. And we talked about that. And the consensus was that there is good work to do and continues to need to be done. That we would have new service contracts coming. That the changes to the level of services would fluctuate. And what was decided and recommended in this report in the form of a resolution to the City Council is that we can convert this to a standing committee, but that they meet quarterly unless otherwise needed. And then, of course, after the election, the membership would be reconsidered based on the new council and so forth. So that's staff's quick report on this. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. Questions, comments, concern from the council, council member, Vice Mayor Flores?
My question was the difference between the ad hoc and standing committees, and I read all that in there, so that kind of cleared it up. But I think we should let the people that were part of that committee make some statements on this.
Thank you very much.
End of statement.
Thank you, Councilmember Friels.
Didn't really have anything to say until Bussard put me on. We did make some, I think we made some good improvements. I think we moved, we were able to bring in a lot of concern from the residents and business owners on a lot of issues. It's pretty much the first time folks have had a sounding wall on some of that stuff other than coming up here at the podium and, letting it rip. So we do have some stuff coming up in the future, like with the fire department, with like fire apparatus replacement, which is going to be, be prepared. It's going to be just shy of $1 million. So, things like that. So it would be, I believe this would be a good committee to be a standing committee. Because really, do we have what do we have as far as, we don't really have any standing committees, do we, on, other than this?
Councilmember, I had a chance to glance at the annual reorganization we do every December, and there is a public safety contract subcommittee of the council.
Mhm.
But this is bigger and broader than that, and more inclusive, so. Also, the city attorney confirmed that this would be subject to the Brown Act, so it would be a public meeting and there'd be a chance for the
Perfect.
public to weigh in, so.
That's even better. So, I'm all in favor of it. Hope to stay on it for a little bit longer if need be, whatever the council needs. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Freeman?
I too am in favor of making it a standing committee. I think meeting quarterly probably will be enough, but I wouldn't necessarily set it into stone or into ordinance. So if you needed to go to every other month or whatever, you could do that. But I think a standing public safety committee is a good idea.
Thank you. I agree. I've been on the committee for a year now, and we brought this forward to become a standing committee. I think it's a great idea to have a voice in the community. And it'll be great to actually be live so that the public can come in and discuss any concerns. I'm not sure who all knows this public knowledge that Copperleaf formed its own little watch group, Neighborhood Watch. Thank you very much. And the city of San Juan Bautista had a Neighborhood Watch group. There were signs all over the place when I first moved here. So yeah, I'm all for having this as a standing committee and looking forward to having a couple more years on it as well. Thank you. Public comment in the chambers.
Mayor, we have no public comment in chambers.
Thank you very much. On Zoom.
Okay, I am bringing in Jackie, and in the meantime of doing that, I want to let anyone know who's joined us tonight that you can use the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen that will raise your hand, letting us know that you want to speak. You'll be brought into the meeting, and when you unmute yourself, you'll have 3 minutes to speak on the matter. I have brought Jackie in. So Jackie, when you're unmuted, your 3-minute time will start.
Thank you very much. Welcome, Jackie.
Thank you once again, Mayor. So I'm not real familiar with what this committee has done. Can someone, if you can entertain this, Mayor, it's at your discretion, I believe. I will give my 3 minutes, my rest of my 3 minutes, if you can just explain to me and maybe someone else in the public that isn't aware of what this committee does when it meets, and just sort of a brief summary of that. Thank you.
Okay.
Don, do you want to go over that list again? Yes, please.
I'm going to put Jackie back in the other side here.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a couple of things that we started with, and Rachel Ponce is our community member at large. So we do have community input. We have been meeting on a monthly basis, and we initially looked at contracts for fire and sheriff and private security. We looked at security cameras. We initially looked at bringing on a deputy sheriff, a dedicated deputy for the community. We have discussed speed bumps, I'm sure. So there are a lot of things that we have gone through, some of which are on here right now.
Hazard abatement, weed abatement, hazards, nuisance homes, anything had to do with, even,
Right.
even down to sidewalks and ADA compliance.
So all around public safety in our community, within and around. Thank you very much. Do we have any other public comment?
We do. I'm bringing in David. If you unmute yourself, your 3-minute time will start.
Yeah, I'm
you,
for
David. Welcome.
bringing it, excuse me, I'm I'm in for bringing in the public and for standing committee. I think the work that we did as myself, a ad hoc committee member, I think it's been outstanding. I think what we need to do is have meetings, maybe quarterly or every other month or whatever. It'd be great as a follow-up to what we've started. And also continue to bring in new ideas and keep an eye on things as we progress forward. So standing committee and bringing in the public, I'm all for that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other public comment?
We do not have any other hands raised at this time.
Thank you very much.
I just mentioned, Madam Mayor, just quickly, the recitals of the resolution do provide for the committee to meet other than quarterly as needed.
We can't hear.
The recitals in the resolution do provide for the committee, if it so chooses, to meet other than quarterly as needed.
Thank you very much.
Madam Mayor, David does still have 2 minutes remaining on the clock. He did raise his hand as soon as I moved him over, so I'm not sure if he has any remaining comments that we may have cut him off early.
David, did we cut you off early?
And his hand's down, so
Thank you very much. Okay, I will now entertain a motion to approve a resolution of the City of San Juan Bautista establishing a public safety standing committee.
So moved.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Friels, do I
I'll
have a
second
second?
it.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Freeman. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Flores,
Aye.
Councilmember Friels,
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman,
Yes.
Mayor Jordan.
Yes,
Mayor, the motion as stated passes unanimously.
thank you very much. 5D, consider requesting the Board of Supervisors approval on 2 positions, a new sheriff deputy position and a new sheriff multi-services officer.
Thank you, Mayor. The report is somewhat comprehensive, reviewing work that the city manager and the sheriff and others have been working together to focus on over the past 2 months in particular. Assessing the law enforcement services in the city. We initiated a sheriff's department meeting among staff. The first occurred July 6th, and this most recent one was August 3rd, and those notes were attached to the staff report. Reevaluating the private security after 2 months. Their first day was June 6th. And we've now seen their billing and their patrol services. And so in the staff report, I touched bases on that and the need to coordinate all 3 services as well as the scheduling of the code enforcement officer to make sure that we're getting the most efficient services we can. And I expect to be some conversation about scheduling and effectiveness of our services tonight as a result of this reporting. Struggling a little bit with some of the basic services that the citizens expect. We shared the informal survey that I conducted in 2019 with the city. We got about 170 responses, and there was a big focus on commercial truck traffic, abandoned vehicles, and parking. And then in working with the sheriff, they had hired 2 new lieutenants who I hadn't met, and they were having difficulty deciding who they should be talking to on the city's end. So, pardon me, oftentimes in emergency preparedness and so forth, you use the term single point of contact to improve communications. And so in our first meeting, we really focused on that and who would be best to communicate with both agencies. And as a result, I think both of these meetings with the sheriff's department has been really productive. And this is the schedule that we're currently operating under. We allow the private security company to, within their budget of roughly $10,000 per month, to define what they thought the best services would be. And this is quite a bit more service than we had been receiving before. I learned in working with them this past 10 days, that their goal is to see if they could double the services we were receiving at the same cost. And when I compared it closely to the expenses prior to June 6th, they're maybe about $10,000 a fiscal year higher. So I think there is room here in the private security schedule in particular to reduce some hours, maybe have one patrol vehicle instead of two on some of the slower days. That's been some of my conversations with the council members and others in the past week. With that, we've been trying to schedule the code enforcement primarily on weekends and during that time before the private security starts, so that there's some overlap. And then the dedicated deputy was originally scheduled Wednesday through Saturday. And I had a request recently from the sheriff's department to change that to actually Sunday through Thursday. And I said, well, you know, maybe weekend nights are like our most important nights for the dedicated deputy. So that's still a conversation that we're having. But scheduling is important, and we can come back to this later when we get into a discussion. But basically, just kind of going back to the very nuts and bolts of what law enforcement is and what the responsibilities are. It's clear in the city's definition of the city manager's duties that it's the city manager's job to enforce all laws in the city. And when you look at the sheriff's contract definition below, it also talks about the statutes of the state of California, the municipal codes of the city for which the sheriff's services are provided. But that's a little bit, that seems to be subject to interpretation, and for obvious reasons. When we look at some of our codes, like Title V, there's overlap, public intoxication, graffiti, there's overlap where the sheriff might get involved, but otherwise would not. When we got to licensing of businesses, tattoo parlors, bingo licenses, massage parlors, there was no way that the sheriff wanted anything to do with those. So that's a big issue because we need to figure that out in terms of cannabis facilities and reviewing their security plans and so forth. So we need to figure that out. So I'm glad that we identified this before we get a serious application for a cannabis operation. We need to have the right tools to process that permit. Title 7 is entitled Streets. And this seems to be all city, 7-1 through 7-8, and those were provided in the staff report. And then Title 9 is titled Vehicles, and that is also all city. So these are enforcement of laws that are not zoning laws, and that's what a code enforcement officer typically enforces. They work for the planning department, and they're enforcing zoning laws on a Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 basis. These laws are needs to be enforced on weekends and on other times during the week, especially parking enforcement. So when we brought on private security, we did add parking enforcement and administrative citations to their duties. So that's an adjustment, more intensifying the role of the private security than the previous role that we had. And they have been writing tickets, so they are supporting us in that regard. So that's a summary of the laws that we have to enforce and some of the holes that we have. Abandoned vehicles is a good example because we're relying on the county sheriff to provide not just the what's known as the California Law Enforcement Technology Software, the CLETS program, to describe vehicle license, so we could quote run a plate and find out if a vehicle is stolen or abandoned or what have you. But it also abandoned vehicles, a good program requires that you have a selection of tow companies and you have a tow yard that it's taken to, available 24/7. And so there's a whole administration that goes with that if you're going to do it correctly. And that's something that we get a number of calls about on a weekly basis. Skateboarding and bicycles is really not the sheriff's job. They're not going to be doing that. So you know, some of this is just common sense. It's not that we have big issues in these areas, but I'm just trying to describe where we could improve. So in these conversations, the little light bulb went off in the room, and I think it was Captain Keelan who suggested a non-sworn officer position, a multi-services officer. So that's why the title of the report is to consider requesting from the Board of Supervisors a dedicated deputy and a multi-services officer. So what is a multi-services officer? It's non-sworn position, so it's an easier position to recruit, and it costs about half as much as the sheriff. They could then access the CLETS program with the county. They could access the towing system and the other things, and perform some of these lesser offenses. I'll put it that way. Abandoned vehicles, commercial vehicle code, and vehicle enforcement. They can help with special events, and they may be able to help with neighborhood watch. and they can help us write criminal and accident reports. So it was suggested because it is so difficult to recruit this deputy position, it may take a good 6 to 9 months, depending on if we get a lateral transfer or if we get someone who needs to go to the post training. So we could probably fill that non-sworn position faster with an MSO and get them on board sooner. And the 6-month savings that we would have between now and December, July and December, would pay for a whole year of multi-services officer position. So I proposed it in the staff report in response to these conversations, that we start talking about this MSO as a pilot project, and after we've seen it work for 6 months, as we do our budget deliberations in the spring, we can consider whether or not we want to keep that, or if we want to follow through with this second deputy, which would be the most effective approach for us. But that's what the sheriff and the city manager came away with, thinking that we would recruit for an MSO now at $75,000 a year. That's already in the budget available for that dedicated deputy. And that way we could get some backfill and take advantage of some of the systems that the sheriff has that the city doesn't necessarily have in place yet. So that's a summary of our staff report. And that's why there are 2 resolutions attached. One that would, if adopted, would request that we move forward with the dedicated deputy 2, I call it, and that we also move forward simultaneously with the multi-services officer, and that we should be able to afford both within the current budget. And with that, Mayor, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Questions, comments, concerns from the council? Vice Mayor Flores?
Did you get any response from the sheriffs, Don? Did you run that by the, do they know about the program or the MSO position?
Yes, yes, Councilmember Flores, that's the whole point. It was a recommendation we came to at the same time, and the staff reports were shared and the minutes were shared. In fact, I have an email recently that the sheriff would like to take this to the Board of Supervisors as soon as next Tuesday, both positions.
Great.
Thank you. Councilmember Friels?
Thank you. Definitely yes on the second deputy. I'm in favor of the non-sworn officer to be able to deal with, like you listed, there's a whole gambit of things that they can do. I don't think we're going to see a second deputy for quite some time. Just the fact that nobody's applying to be cops. So hopefully we'll see one soon, but we will have some savings. So it's virtually almost almost by using the non-sworn officers, about half, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and that's the biggest problem we're having right now is all these abandoned vehicles and assistance with code enforcement and all that stuff. So I'm all in favor of let's bring them both on board.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Freeman?
Thank you. I too am in favor of a second deputy, and I think that obviously it's a long ways, or it's a ways away. And the way things are going, I just heard that Contra Costa County Sheriff's Department is having a $10,000 signing bonus. So that kind of tells you the competition for public safety people. And the biggest problem the county of San Benito has in all areas, including the sheriff's office, is finding qualified personnel. They've gone through 10 RMA directors in the last 12 years. So that's a sign of either they don't pay enough or it's a lousy job. Take your pick, or both. Yeah. Which leads me to the next question. It almost seems like coming from like the year 2014, when we had literally nobody around. I mean, other than the sheriff driving through on semi-regular basis, but we didn't have any dedicated deputies. We had very little code enforcement, you know, and we're going from like poverty to an abundance of riches, which worries me a little bit. I always get worried, you know, you never have money problems until you have money. So, I think there might be a little, something called what the military calls mission creep. A little bit too much. I'm not against an MSO, a non-sworn officer, but you know, I might ask, what can this person do that a Kismet person can do? If he can't give moving violations, if he can't flag down the truck that upset me so much Saturday afternoon or Friday afternoon, I forget which day it was, but it doesn't matter. You know, I understand about helping with investigations and something like that, but maybe a Kismet person could do that too at a cheaper price. I just, you know, Scott tells me we're going to be looking at $1 million for new fire equipment. You know, once people get hired, they you know, unless they're really rotten, they tend to, you know, stick around, and if they like the job, and then your salaries go up, your budget goes up. And unless we get that balanced growth I was talking about and some commercial money, I don't want to start an urban planning speech again, but residential people take about $1.25 worth of sales taxes, or excuse me, $1.25 worth of services for every dollar in sales tax they pay, or property tax, excuse me, property tax. So we actually lose money on more houses. Commercial and light industrial, on their other hand, it's about, they pay $1 and they only take 70 cents in services. So, you know, I come from the private sector. You know, to me, that's like making money. That's the better deal. Come on, the light bulb should go on. And so, you know, and frankly, to me, fire protection equipment and fire is, I don't mean to rank public safety, but it's got to be a little bit above having an MSO. You know, that's just my opinion. So I hate setting things off again, but I'd like to think about this a little more and ask the city management and city manager if we can't get Kismet to do some of this MSO stuff. You know, refine the thinking a little bit. It's not a bad idea, but I would like to refine the thinking with some of the suggestions I've just made. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have the same old comment. I'm all for the MSO. I'd be super thrilled if we got a second deputy here to cover the days that Deputy Ryan is already on. So we have 7-day-a-week coverage. But I go back to code enforcement, where we have Sunday from 1 o'clock to 7 p.m., Monday from 1 to 7 p.m., Thursday from 1 to 7 p.m., Friday from 1 to 7 p.m., and Saturday from 1 to 7 p.m. That's 30 hours a week. Post-COVID, it was my understanding that we were going back to 20 hours a week for code enforcement. And I would really like to see code enforcement during weekdays instead of on weekends and in the morning, so that he can actually do code enforcement to look at buildings that are having new roofs without permits, or windows without permits, or tearing up old bungalows without permits, or attaching buildings to existing buildings and having porta potties all over the place. I would really like to see some codes being enforced while Kismet and the Sheriff's Department do the enforcement actions for most of the Muni codes. Go ahead. I am.
Okay. Dawn, I wonder if we can, what's the odds of partnering with the school? Spring Grove School just got a dedicated school resource officer. Could we maybe partner with a school with it for that second deputy, and they can spend some time at the school and then spend some time with us? I know we're starting to get a pretty good rapport with our school. That's something. Is that kind of way out in left field?
That's
Sorry,
I think it's a
sorry,
great
there was
idea.
There was a little uncomfortable silence there for a second.
No, that's not, it doesn't make it happen any faster. You still have to recruit the body, but.
Sure, yeah, but I mean, maybe we can start and then for sure we'd have that extra money, and then we can help them. And because I remember Rich Brown did do a lot of time as a school resource deputy, and it helped. I mean, a lot of these young folks knew him, especially as they got older. They knew who Deputy Brown was. It was very influential in a lot of people's lives. I don't know. I just throwing that out there, and any money savings. I'm sure Mike's happy to hear that money savings.
Yeah, and if we put that deputy in the schools, they could get action at Gavilan College to promote their police academy in the high schools, from the high schools. I think that's a great idea, Scott. Public comment. Do we have any public comment in the chambers?
Mayor, we have one public comment.
Thank you very much. Please state your name and address for the record.
Michael Ponce, 803 First Street.
Thank you, Michael. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. And Scott, I am all for saving money. Thank you. I like the idea of second deputy. It sounds like it's gonna take a while. And it looks like we're looking towards the MSO, multi-service officer, at a cost saving, half the cost, $75,000. But I'm not too sure that's a good idea, only because in the city council report from the city manager, under item number 5, city priorities A, the number 1 priority is traffic enforcement, stop sign, and speeding. That multi-services officer cannot write moving violations. All they can do is what the security is doing right now, parking violations. So it doesn't seem to me like a good idea to spend $75,000 for, I hate to say it, a glorified security guard. Our biggest problem right now, I feel, and I think what the city manager's city council report states under city priorities, is our traffic problem, the way people drive, the way people don't stop at stop signs. And I know nothing's gonna happen until something bad happens. We need to be proactive instead of reactive. I know it'll take a year, hopefully, for a second deputy. I think that's a better way to look at it than to spend $75,000 for somebody that can't take care of our number 1 priority. That's just my thought. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Madam Mayor, may I add something?
Go ahead. Thank you.
I might suggest, instead of an MSO, a way to catch the big trucks and the speeders and the people who run the stop signs on the corner of North and First. And it happens every day, particularly in the morning. Is to, and I don't know the price for an IT person, but the reason why the cameras got hung up, and the reason why we can't do license plate readers, and we can't do this and we can't do that, is we don't have an IT person to sort through. These cameras would generate literally hours of information, and let's hope that 99% of it is worthless or nothing, but the 1% time when the guy runs the stop sign, the truck goes the wrong way down 3rd Street or whatever, maybe an IT person running license plate reader cameras might be a better investment with that $75,000.
Also a good suggestion. Do we have any, thank you, John, Councilmember Freeman. Do we have any public comment from Zoom?
For those who have joined us by Zoom, please use the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen. Is that the little raised hand button? Or if you've dialed in, press *9, your hand will be raised. You'll be brought in and you will have 3 minutes to speak on this matter. We do not have any hands raised, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Okay, having no other comment from council or public.
So I'm clear, Mayor. Is it the council's direction to staff to reduce code enforcement to Monday through Friday, 20 hours a week?
No.
It was brought up, and I just want to know.
It's not an item on our agenda.
Right.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
If we request approval of the 2 positions for the Board of Supervisors, we're going to define specifically what the duties of those positions are, right? Or do we do it now? I mean, if the positions are approved by the supervisors, then we can tailor the positions to meet our needs.
If I could respond.
Yeah, go ahead, please. Thank you.
That's a good point.
Yes,
Councilmember Flores. In our last meeting and in the notes, you'll notice that it's mentioned LiDAR training, which is the use of radar systems by the sheriff. And sheriff doesn't do that in the rural parts of the county, but they'd be willing if we would buy the hardware and provide the training to provide traffic enforcement using the LiDAR equipment. So that's an example of how our dedicated deputy would be tailored to our city's specific needs. And you'll notice the MSO job description is very general in nature. And the sheriff's office was suggesting that we would also tailor that and maybe even come up with a job description to the MSO for the council to consider that's more specific and more tailored to our needs. So yeah, so you're right. We have some ability to do that. I was just taken back when they tried to change Deputy Miller's schedule to Monday through Thursday. I'm just like, huh? In a text message.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think the council may want to assert themselves with the sheriff to get a little more of a handle on that situation if we can, if it's possible. I don't know what Deputy Miller's personal needs are right now, but and they were all invited to be here tonight, so I'm sorry they're not here, but because they know MSO positions better than I do, obviously. It sounds like we might have support for at least the one resolution tonight.
Question. As we changed the initial, we had an initial resolution ordinance bringing on a deputy. We could at any time change back to the MSO didn't work out for us. We can say, thank you very much, have a nice day, and go to perhaps 2 deputies, or if the second deputy didn't work out and the MSO worked out, we could do the same thing and say, thank you very much, have a nice day. We'll go with MSO versus deputy.
These are sheriff employees, right? They're not our employees, so we would have the ability to rescind it, sure.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, what is the wish of the council?
How about if we move forward with going to the Board of Supervisors with the second deputy and we do a little more research on the multi-service officer? That sounds like something we need to get the ball rolling for that second deputy. We got to get in the queue because apparently North County School District trumps us now. So, they got a deputy over there for full time and yeah. And we were, hey, good for them. They got ahead of us, So,
You can make the motion any way you like.
Okay, Can I go ahead and move that we go forward with the second deputy and then research the multi-service officer at another time?
Do I have a second on that?
I will second that motion, yes.
Thank you very much. May I have a roll?
Bob, was that legal? Did I do that right?
I think you did. And this is to approve the first resolution in the packet, which is to request the Board of Supervisors approval of the second dedicated sheriff's deputy.
Yes.
Correct. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Flores,
Yes.
Councilmember Friels,
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman,
Yes.
Mayor Jordan.
Yes.
Mayor, the motion as stated passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. Do we have to do anything with number 2? Thank you.
Well, I'll work with the sheriff. We'll craft up a more detailed job description. We'll take another shot at it.
Perfect. Thank you very much. 5E, consider introduction of an ordinance for first reading, amending section 3-5-155 of the San Juan Bautista Municipal Code and increasing water rates.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm accompanied tonight with Mark Mandel, our legal advice on the Proposition 218 process for raising water rates. And I have just a few slides for you on this matter. We've had a certain very interested and passionate community member who's taught me a lot about my own slideshows. And so I have to update and had to do some fact checking on myself. And so I appreciate the community and Michael Ponce's involvement in meeting with the mayor and I a couple times in the past week about what exactly we're doing with our water rates. And so I think these points are straightforward, and I'll just run through them quickly. At our July 19th meeting, staff failed to get the amended ordinance before the council, and that was purely a mistake. We had some temporary help in the deputy city clerk's office, and the amended ordinance didn't get into the packet, so apologize for that. We did open the protest hearing, and 5 written protests were counted, and the hearing was closed on July 19th. So the proposed ordinance was not considered that night. Instead, it was pushed until tonight for first reading because it was not found to be the latest and best version. So the correct ordinance with the pass-through language is provided in attachment A. And of course, you can't read anything here, but I just wanted to let you know that it's there and it's in your packet this time. Pass-through is defined as being automatically passed through. So if the state or federal government raises the cost of wholesale water to the water district, they can pass that through to our users without having to go through another 45-day Prop 218 process. And it does identify what some of these costs estimated would be, and that's why Mark went into such detail and with Bartle Wells. Beginning in FY 25-26, they estimate this cost to be $1.86 per 1,000 gallons. And then up to 26-27 would increase to 5 cents to $1.91 per 1,000 gallons. And so that's an example of what we estimate the impact of that to be. In the second slide, this is a slide that was from the original slide 11 from the July 19 presentation, and the city manager messed up and just got the decimal point in the wrong spot. So it was pointed out that we're not consuming, we're not planning for 2.25 million gallons. It's 0.25 million gallons, about 250 gallons per day, not 2 million gallons per day. So that was my fault, and I appreciate that. And so I just wanted to justify Michael Ponce's input and thank him for that, because the whole system, the size of the pipe and everything else is all designed based on 0.25 million gallons a day. So with that, good points shared in the past month of what does the increase pay for? And simply the increase is going to see our annual costs, our annual operations costs double from about $500,000 a year to a little bit over $1 million by fiscal year 26-27. And that comes in 4 pieces. The purchase of water, we have to pay for that from the water district. its portion of fixed assets, its treatment plants and pipes, et cetera. And then the buy-in to the Hollister Urban Area Plan that was initiated in 2018 with other people, other agencies that buy water from the district. That includes Hollister and Sunny Slope. So we're now part of that regional plan. And then the capital improvement itself at $7.8 million and the financing of that. And so in the rate study, these 4 items, and you can't read them, but I'll help you out here. The 4 lines that are in this table 2 of our rate study include all of these costs. And in this column here, 24, 25 is a 6-month number, but we see them, the pipeline being completed in 2024. So by 25, 26, our rates need to be able to incorporate 100%. And so that's on the operations expenses, that's another $376,700, and then another $691,000 below. The financing of the project itself is about $400,000, $461,000. So that's the $1 million increase, and that's exactly what the rate increases are designed to pay for. And the yellow that you see circled up here is the anticipated revenue that we hope to get from the rate increase. So I think that was a really good question, and I just wanted to bring that forward and share the council the results of that and the exercise we went through in the last couple of weeks, reviewing everything that we've brought forward. So it's kind of a recap, and I request now that the council do introduce this ordinance and have the first reading tonight. That increases the rates. So that's where I'm at, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Questions, comments, concerns from the council? Vice Mayor Flores?
No comments.
Thank you. Councilmember Friels?
You promised me that I could turn on the tap and drink the water coming out of it.
Yes, you know, I mentioned to the executive director that we might have to put his water into the creek to keep some endangered species alive, and he said, you're not gonna do that. And I mentioned to the director it might be used to grow cannabis, and he said, you're not gonna do that with my water. He's pretty protective of.
Okay.
Oh, my.
Granted, he's retiring.
No other questions, thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Freeman?
No other real questions. Glad to see us getting here, and the sooner we get this passed and done, sooner we can dig the ditch and put the pipe in.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I have no further questions. Do we have any questions, comments, and concerns from the public?
Mayor, we have 1 public comment.
Thank you very much.
Again, Michael Ponce, 803 First Street. I just want to make sure.
Welcome, Michael. Thank you. You have 3 minutes.
Use 2 of them right now. I just want to make sure I understand that the rate increase that we're going to vote on now, or you're going to vote on now, are maximum rates that we do not have to charge them if we don't have to. If we find some savings along the road. That's just one of my questions.
Thank you very much for that question.
That is correct. These are maximum rates, very conservatively.
Thank you. We good? We're good. Go ahead.
If I might add, also the idea was that we'll collect more grants along the way, and part of this, it's kind of like buying a house. You know, you got to prove you really don't need a loan to get the loan. So anyway, getting these rates in place will enable us to chase more grants, which will lower the amount of money we have to finance, which will lower the amount of money we have to charge city water customers.
As we saw with the wastewater project, it helped demonstrate to Senators Caballero and Assemblymember Rivas that our community was backing this, that they stood up and supported it, and that gave them the confidence to take it forward to the state for the budget appropriation.
Thank you. And I just want to thank the public for actually coming in and having a conversation with the city manager and for allowing me to sit in on it. Michael had a lot of questions, very good questions, which brought about some of the fine tuning that we just saw. I appreciate all the public input that came out of this to ensure the folks who actually had questions that they were valid and that they were being heard. So I appreciate all of the time that the city manager put in on this. Any further comments or public comment from the chambers?
No further comment.
Oh, wait a minute.
We have one additional comment.
Does Michael have time remaining?
I've cut the timer from before. He has to start again. I don't know. I've cut the timer from when he was.
Thank you. Half a minute, Michael.
Again, Michael Ponce, 803 First Street. I would just encourage the public to look at the water master plan. There is some incredible information in there that will answer a lot of questions. I believe if people read it, for the most part, they would be on board with this project. I think it is a project that we need to do. We are between a rock and a hard place with our water. I don't like increases, but I know that they're necessary. So the information is all in that plan. If you would take the time to read it, you would learn a whole lot. Thank you.
Thanks for the support, Michael. Public comment from Zoom.
Thank you, Mayor. We do have hand raised at this time. Anyone else who would like to speak who's joined us tonight, press *9 for the dial-ins or use the hand raise button and your hand will be raised. I'm going to bring in Jackie. When you unmute yourself, your 3-minute time will start.
Thank you, Jackie. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, resident Mike Ponce, for your time and effort to go in there and ask questions that maybe the majority of us residents that didn't go in and speak to city manager and whatnot, to clarify that and get more information to fine tune the end result. My question, and maybe it's a very silly question, I don't know, I'm going to ask it. So as the rates have increased currently, and I don't know if you can answer, does that money go into a separate pot that's set aside for future cost of the project? Since we're not receiving any of the benefits at this time, has been my question. And I know a lot of people have that same question because they voiced that to me. And then I know on the list that City Manager Don listed about money going for the sewer plant and equipment and et cetera. Can you expand on what the et cetera is? And item number 1, and I believe item number 3, the buy into the water district, and the number 1 item, I forget what the exact word was, almost kind of seemed to be the same sort of thing. You're buying into the rights to get the water to be part of this group, but then number 1 said you're also paying into what I understood to be, sounded rather similar. I'll give up the rest of my time if someone can comment on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm moving Jackie back out. And at this time, we do not have any other hands raised. Mayor?
Thank you very much.
So maybe it was the words that I used. We're the 4 categories with the water district that I tried to identify in that slide are in the rate table. So it is something that you're doing. The very first question was a question that Michael had, and we're using a fund accounting system, and this is the Water Enterprise Fund. So water that comes and goes is collected in this fund only to be used for water. The same is true with the sewer bills that you pay. It's a sewer enterprise fund and they're separate entities. You notice when the city treasurer reported tonight, she gave us a general fund balance and she gave us the water fund balance and the sewer balance. So that's the way these funds are accounted for, and they're subject to an annual audit. So it's welcome to look at our audits to see if we're using the money correctly or not. Certainly many cities have been in trouble for not doing that. And then the 4 categories, when we talk about buy-in and buying, the first category is, I'll just say it more slowly, is how much does the water district pay for money, and it may pay for water, and where do they get that water from? And we're part of this regional plan, and I shared with Michael, in this regional plan, there's a number of ways that the water district can buy water. not just from the San Luis Reservoir, but there's spot buying and other ways to do it. We're gonna have to reimburse them for 100% of that cost right off the get-go. And then secondly is their operational expense for running the systems, running the pumps, maintaining the pumps. So we have to pay 8% of their total cost. Again, we're dropping the bucket, but that 8% is significant to us, and it hits our rates as the second category. When systems were designed to be sold to other agencies, this Hollister Urban Area Plan was developed and agreed upon between Sunny Slope and Hollister, who are buying water from the water district. So in order for us to be an equal player in that, they've been investing money in this system since 2018. And so we need to we need to pay our 8% share of that to make it equal for us to be a partner in that program moving forward. So that's where I think some of the confusion was. And then lastly, of course, we have to buy the pipe itself. So we have to buy the $7.9 million pipe itself. And that's in the form of a mortgage payment and a debt service. So those are the 4 components.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other public comment? Zoom?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
Mark Mandel, special counsel on this matter. I just also wanted to reassure the council that the requirement of putting the water and sewer funds each into their own separate fund, that's not just a city policy, that's also something that's created by state law. So even if the council were to want, or the city were to want to divert money to some non-water, non-sewer use, that would be something that's possible.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
In fact, we've had the opposite happen. When we built the tank, the general fund had to loan the water enterprise fund money to finish the project.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comment?
We do not, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So is it the council's wish to direct staff to bring this back for a second reading and a resolution in September?
Yeah, the action would be to approve the ordinance for introduction. So you're approving the introduction of the ordinance, and it has to come back to you for second reading for adoption.
Okay, can I have a motion to introduce this ordinance for the first reading?
So moved.
And bring it back. Thank you
So
very
moved.
much.
Sure.
I'll second that.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Freeman, and seconded by Councilmember Friels. May I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Flores,
Aye.
Councilmember Friels,
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman,
Yes.
Mayor Jordan.
Yes.
The motion as stated passes unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Madam Mayor, before you move on, I think Don certainly deserves a big vote of thanks for all the work that you've done, Don. Tremendous amount of work, and you had a good team, I think, with Eric Helgeson and also Mark Mandel. I think you guys definitely need some recognition. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And I would add Melissa too, speaking of attorneys, because saved us $800,000 or.
Melissa Thorne.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or we saved ourselves.
Yeah, I think we did good there. Discussion items, general and municipal election update. City manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Just quickly, we submitted arguments on the deadline of the 12th. And we took a trip out to the elections office and made sure that the candidate statements we had received.
I'm sorry, but I cannot hear Don at all.
Thank you very much.
So, thank you, City Clerk Norma. We just wanted to follow up. Friday was a big deadline. Several things happened, so we wanted to just provide a quick summary for you. The election materials were due to the county elections department at 5 p.m. Friday, including arguments for or against our two measures, Measure W and Measure V. And you signed those arguments in favor of those two initiatives, Mayor. And we got those delivered. You also completed your paperwork, which means that we had 1 of 3 incumbents pull papers successfully and run for office, which extends the election period, the term to pull papers from the 12th, 5 days to the 17th. So at 5 p.m. tomorrow is the new deadline. And if candidates are, if there's problems getting the papers signed or papers done, we're here to help you. Melissa in particular, want to thank you for all the time you kind of got thrown into the fire here. August 1st, it's like in the middle of an election, but she's done a hero's job meeting with candidates and working with the paperwork. And nothing, the systems weren't perfect when she got here, so it's taken a lot of work, and I wanted to thank her for that. But yes, I just wanted to make the announcement that candidates still interested in running have until 5 p.m. tomorrow. And then we're off to the races.
Thank you very much. Questions, comments, concerns from council? Vice Mayor Flores? I'm going to take that as a no comment. Thank you very much. Councilmember Friels.
Nothing for me, thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Freeman.
No comments at all. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
all the updates on the election, but no comment from me.
Thank you very much. Questions, comments, concerns from the public in the chambers?
No comments, Mayor.
Thank you very much. On Zoom?
Anyone who's joined us by Zoom, please use the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen. We do not have any hands raised at this time, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Thank you, City Manager, for your words. And thank you to our Deputy City Clerk for a huge project to be stepping into, to be getting thrown into, literally. Thank you. We appreciate the work that you're doing. Discussion item 6B, open recruitment for Planning Commission.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. Just real quick, we unfortunately do have another opening on our Planning Commission. We filled one today, but we had another one occur recently. So staff is suggesting that we begin recruiting immediately tomorrow morning. Get this posted on social media and at the post office and recruit with the recruitment to end September 16th in time for the City Council Subcommittee to meet and look at candidates in time for the September 20 City Council meeting. So there's a brief summary of the notice that we would publish tomorrow, and letters of interest would be kept on file for 1 year. And so that's just staff's quick report on the status of our Planning Commission, and any questions or concerns about that.
Thank you very much. Councilmember, Vice Mayor Flores.
No comments, thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Friels.
No comments, thanks.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Freeman.
No comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Again, a letter of interest to the city manager's office in City Hall by Tuesday, September 16th at 5 p.m. recruiting for Planning Commissioner and Historic Resource Board.
And is it the council's direction that the same ad hoc committee would process this application process as well?
Yes, it would be the
Appointing
same.
a new ad
Right,
hoc
it would be the same committee.
Be the same committee. Okay, thank you.
Questions, comments, concerns from the public in the chambers?
No comments, Mayor.
Thank you very much. On Zoom?
Those who've joined us by Zoom, now's the opportunity to raise your hand. We do not have any hands raised.
Thank you
Raised
very
at this
much.
time. Sorry, someone came in, it threw me off. We do not have any hands raised at this time.
Norma, that's a public speaker, the next item.
Thank you. 6C, Microbi System Permitting Report.
Mayor and City Council, I have the city engineer with us, Ned Samhouri, and we also have Ali Dory from Microbi Systems on the line, and a representative of the Wallace Group is here to join us as well. We haven't provided a status on the Microbi system to the City Council since May of 2021, and we did spend some money on it, working on feasibility studies, trying to get a new permit application to the drinking water division of the Water Board. So we spent $30,000 on this to date. It was going to take another $15,000 to get the application submitted and processed. So we just want to bring the council up to speed on this. So I have Ned here to share with us the status, and if there are any questions of Mike Crovey or of the Wallace Group, who's helping us with these studies, they're also in attendance and can help answer questions. So yeah, it takes a long time to get this blended permit approved, and I'm learning. I've never done this before. That we did validate the well 6 will be needed currently right now and in the long run, because we're functioning on 2 wells, and that's not the best most secure foundation to be on. And I did attach the email describing the current needs. Even when the water is imported, when we get to build out a 2035, well 6 will be important to have. And Mike Crovey can help us understand some of the operational expenses related to their equipment. That would be great if Ollie could help us with that. So with that, I'll just let Ned just do a quick summary on the report and introduce his crew in case the council has any questions on the status of well 6 and bringing it back online.
Okay, thank you, Don. Good evening, all. This is Ned. First of all, I apologize for the Mike Crovey representative. Their vice president, Ali, couldn't make it. He's in the East Coast. So like 15 minutes ago, he said he needs to go to bed. It's way past his bedtime. So we're not going to have a representative from Mike Crovey, the vendor of that system. But we do have Greg online, Greg Holbert. He's the consultant that we're working with on the permitting of that system, the new system that we're going to use here to blend, as Don indicated, to blend well number 6 treated and bypass water with well number 5 in order to be, to provide the necessary volume or flow of water to meet the city demand. With that, right now, well, just to, as Don indicated also, we've done a pilot study earlier last year, and the results were very encouraging in terms of the viability of that Mike Crovey system. It was able to, with the blending as well with the water from the bypass from well number 6, it was able to reduce the MCL, the maximum contaminant level threshold of 10 milligrams per liter to like below 3 milligrams per liter. So that's a significant reduction. And I would like Greg here to, maybe go walk you through their analysis and what's the next step here in terms of permitting that well with the new system that, the 3 parties, we, the city, and Mike Crovey and Greg Wallace Group agreed upon to move forward with this job. Please go ahead, Greg.
Sure. Thank you, Ned. So as Ned set up, the pilot test that Mike Crovey ran was run over the summer months in 2021. And since that time, we've been putting together, looking at different options for blending either treated water from well 6, a combination of treated water from well 6 and well 5 to get well 6 water back online into the city of San Juan Bautista's water system. As you know, well 6 is currently shut down, and we cannot bring well 6 back online until there's some form of nitrate treatment set up and permitted through the DDW. So we've looked at an option to move forward.
Greg, I'm sorry, you
Greg,
keep muting yourself.
Yeah, you keep going mute.
Unmute.
Thanks, Ned. We got this.
Yeah. Apologize about that. I think I was pressing the space bar button. Can you all hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So what I was saying was that we are moving forward with an option to combine well 5 and well 6 and permit that through Division of Drinking Water. That would accomplish 2 things. It would allow us to lower the concentrations of nitrate that are present in well 6 and allow for introduction to the distribution system. And then secondly, it would allow us to allow well 6 to operate on its own through treatments using the Mike Crovey treatment system. So currently, as I said, well 6 is offline. We cannot bring that well and online for public use until the DDW's permitted it. And so, as I said, we're suggesting a blending option. Blending is unfortunately not going to be a long-term solution. The problem with it being that the state requires you to have ample capacity with your largest source offline. So for whatever reason, if well 5 were to go out, then we cannot rely upon well 6 to meet your the city's demand. So for that reason, we are proposing a blend allowing Microbi to operate and also evaluating what nitrate levels are doing in the groundwater over a set period of time, say the next 6 to 12 months or so. The pilot test was run over 3 months, and in our opinion, that's not enough time to evaluate what our design basis would be in terms of nitrate concentrations in groundwater. So this strategy, again, will allow us to start using the water from well 6. Under the pilot test scenario, all water treated through the Microbi system was sent directly to sewer. So any water treated by the Microbi unit was essentially wasted. This approach, while not bringing well 6 all the way up to its full rated capacity, allows at least for partial use of well 6 until, again, we can establish that basis of design. And then once that period's over, then we can evaluate what's the full term or what's the long-term option for maximal use of well 6. We're thinking it's going to be a larger Microbi system. Perhaps it's a blending scenario, perhaps it's blending only. We'll have to see what nitrate levels do in the long run. So I'm not sure, Ned, if you're sharing a screen, if you have any images you'd like to show, but I want to stop and let people ask any questions they may have, or if there's anything that's unclear, if I can help explain that.
Yeah, I guess, Don, you could probably show if the council is interested, to show the schematic and the overall system layout here to kind of more understand how the system is going to operate. I think it's in the brief.
Provided in the package, so
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's the only thing, I guess, that in this case, we wanted to just familiarize the council with the overall plan here. And what Greg and Wallace Group actually are going to do is, as he said, just proceed with permitting that system with the DDW. Hopefully in the next couple of months, so we can start running the system as planned.
thank you, Ned. I think that's fine for.
Thank you very much. Questions, comments, concerns from the council? Vice Mayor Flores.
I have none.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Friels.
No questions.
Thank you. Councilmember Freeman.
I just, at the present flow rate, the Microbi can only treat about 7.8% of our total needed water, which is wells 5 and 6 now. So I really do approve of this project, and I just want to state that it's not going to eliminate all the nitrates out of the water. It's only going to lower the one in the one well, so it's not a get out of free jail card to City of San Juan. Anyway, thank you.
Free.
Thank you very much. I have a couple of questions, please. Greg, I'm sorry. While well 1 is being piloted, can that water be used in this system? Or are we going to waste again for well 6?
No, so like I mentioned, the pilot test was run last year, and that was really a 3-month trial period where it was more or less a proof of concept to demonstrate to the city that this is a viable technology. Those results came out favorably. But during that pilot, because it had occurred after DDW ordered that well to be shut down, that water had to be wasted. And then the whole impetus of this new phase of the project is to leverage the pilot system that's out there and start to use whatever water is treated by permitting it through the DDW. So
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And DDW meaning the State Water Resources Control Board Division of Drinking Water.
That's correct.
For acronyms. And you're recommending that we do this full-scale pilot in service for another 6 to 12 months?
Yeah, the issue being that we don't know, so when we design our treatment systems, we need to know certain information. So we need to know how big to size that treatment system for. With the limited groundwater data, nitrate groundwater data, we don't know how those nitrate concentrations are going to perform over the full, say, give it a full year to see what the water does. So that would allow us a window to see how it behaves, so we know what our design basis will be.
Okay, thank you very much. Questions, comments, concerns from the public? Do we have anybody in chambers with comments?
Mayor, we have one for comment.
Thank you very much. Hi, Michael. Hi, Michael. Welcome back.
Thank you. I just got a question for Greg. Can the Marcrovi system reduce the hardness of the water, specifically below 350? And do we know if well number 5 and well number 6 are in the same water basin? Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
I believe well 5 and well 6 are in the same water basin. I'm not sure if you're suggesting that there may be different chemical constituents found in the 2 wells. There are, as far as like an overall groundwater basin, I'm not sure where the boundary lies. And then to answer your question about hardness reduction, Marcrovi treatment system is primarily intended to treat nitrates. So we don't anticipate a huge reduction in PDS or salts. There may be some. There's an ultrafiltration membrane that's associated with the treatment system, but that's not the primary driver. It won't produce salt.
Thank you. Questions, comments, concerns from Zoom?
Those who've joined us are still here with Zoom, thank you very much for joining. Now is the time to raise your hand by using that raise hand button at the bottom of your screen. We do not have any hands raised at this time, Mayor.
Thank you very much. 6D 2022 Pavement Management Program Project.
Wait, I have one comment first. I'm sorry. I would like to talk to Greg a little bit. We do have, at least to my knowledge, nitrate numbers going way back to 2005. So this year is 2022, so that's what, 17 years. I don't know how much you need, but they certainly go back to 2005, high levels of nitrates. And it's documentable and on the consumer confidence survey that was published each and every year. So we have a long history of high nitrates. Just wanted to add that.
Thank you very much. Discussion item 6D 2022 Pavement Management Program Project. San Juan Bautista.
Thank you, Mayor. I asked Ned to bring this forward because it is a big project and it's going to affect a lot of neighborhoods. And I wanted to make sure that the council and the community were ahead of the game here. I don't know what just happened to my screen.
Okay, Don?
Yes.
I'll basically the PMP project, the project management program project bid documents were released last Friday. They were forwarded to the, it was published first of all in the newspaper, and it was forwarded to the Builders Exchange. So we're hoping, as we've indicated in the contract, bid to invitation, or invitation to bid, sorry, at the bids, sealed bids are due on the August 30th. And basically the job is scheduled for 60 working days from the notice to proceed or the bid award. So with that, basically, I'd like to brief you on what the scope is, and I'm sure we had this discussion earlier. It's basically based on the management, the program management program, I should say, that was carried out by a consultant last in 2020. They came up with recommendations for improving the pavement conditions in the city, and they came with different scenarios. We picked the scenario that will address basically the improvement of the street pavement conditions and the parentheses or the items or features associated with it, such as sidewalks and curb and gutter, ramps, ADA ramps, in order to maintain those streets, especially the heavily trafficked streets that we picked here in the first phase, to maintain them in a condition for the next 5 to 10 years. We don't have to, have them, or we don't have to kind of get to a point where they're deteriorated beyond normal rehabilitation or repair. We have to go for a full-fledged replacement. So what we did here with those about 11, 12 streets that we picked, as you probably saw in the brief, and you can see here on the plan, we elected the streets that, as I mentioned, are the heavily traveled and the ones that are mainly in the center or the commercial areas of the city, as in, the Alameda, 3rd Street, 2nd Street, then all the intersections there. And we picked those streets that are in fair conditions, that are not heavily deteriorated or damaged. And with that, we've also included the sidewalks. There's some of those streets don't have sidewalks or they're incomplete. They're also considered that some of those ramps, the ADA ramps, don't have the proper configuration in terms of the truncated, what's called the truncated domes, the yellow plates that go onto that pavement or that sidewalk area. So we're going to include those, as we've indicated, as we showed here on those plans. And we've also considered trying to, as much as possible, with a budget of $1 million that is allocated to this job, to capture as much as possible of those sidewalks. But the main purpose, the main focus of this program is going to be to rehabilitate those streets and make sure that what's called their pavement condition index for the next 5 years, is over the current average of 62, that PCI, which is again an indicator of the condition of the pavement. So we're going to maintain them, or we're going to rehabilitate them to maintain them above 62 for the next 5 years plus, and hopefully, the next phase we will tackle the streets that will require further or more extensive repairs and replacement. So yes, go ahead.
That's great, Ned. I'm trying to share the streets with the council so they understand which streets we're focused on. And if this should happen all at once, there's going to be a lot of street construction going on at once in the city, or so that's going to take a lot of coordination and a lot of PR work, right?
Right.
But especially with 156.
Yeah, with 156 under construction as well. So it's a big project. And so I appreciate your patience tonight and allowing us to share this with you before we get it out.
Yeah, cool. Thank you very much. Questions, comments, concerns? Thank you, Ned. From the council, Vice Mayor Flores.
Sorry, no comments.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Friels.
Just thank you. Long time coming on a lot of these streets and it's gonna look great. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you. Councilmember Freeman.
Exactly. Following up what Scott said, it'll be a real facelift for our city. It'll make the city look a lot better, drive a little bit better. So, you know, I don't know how many times I can say it. This is, great, and of course I'm for it. Just let it rip and let's do it.
Literally. Walkability, drivability. Yeah, thank you very much. Ned, you said, had a comment that I think conflicted with what's in the packet. It says bid opening on August 30th, and Ned said that it was closing on August 30th.
No, the sealed, I'm sorry, Mayor, but I thought I said the sealed bids are due on August 30th. So I might have misspelled or missaid that, but I thought, you know, because I have it right in front of me here, actually. So August
Right, and-
30th is the bid, you know, the sealed bids are due by 11
Okay.
a.m.
Okay, so, and staff report said opening. Okay, so it will be closing on the 30th at 11 a.m.
Well,
Thank you.
yes, okay.
Thank you for that.
Mhm.
Councilmember Edge, I think it was Councilmember Edge brought up, was it Church Street and extending it all the way through? Am I seeing this correctly, that Church Street is going to go all the way through? That we found enough money to do the entirety of Church Street?
Yes, Mayor. May I answer?
Yeah, go ahead. Thank you.
Oh, sure. Yes, we incorporated the comments made by Council Edge last time, and we found, because it's a small stretch actually, you know, between the the Second and Third Street, so we could cover that, including the sidewalks there that are pretty, you know, deteriorated and in bad shape. So as you can see, it is included, and it's going to extend all the way to the Third Street and beyond, even if we, you know, that will take us to the pretty much to the cemetery. But the worst part are the first part here between Second and Third.
Thank you very much.
Sorry.
Thank you. Asked and received. Well done. Comments from chambers.
Mayor, we have one comment.
Thank you, Michael. Welcome.
There's only a few of us here left. I don't want you guys to fall asleep. No, I just have a question about 4th Street. That's our second newest street. 3rd Street being the first, 4th. I don't know, when did we work on it? 7 years ago, 8 years ago when we replaced it all?
2008 when it was redone.
Was it 2008? Wow, I'm getting old. But that street looks in pretty good shape. Do we need to spend money to whatever we're gonna do to it? Can we use it somewhere else?
City manager, you want to address that and reiterate why we're doing the way we're doing it?
Right, so the point is, that might be a simple overlay versus a crack seal, slurry seal pulled up. But the whole idea is that a little bit of attention now will give us 20 years of life in the long run. So we're trying to prevent further deterioration and fewer streets like the one outside that are needing complete rebuild. The 3rd Street we did with 3 blocks, and that was $1 million for 3 blocks. So this is shows you how far the money can go. And we have scoped all the utilities to make sure that they're healthy.
Awesome. Thank you very much. All right. Questions, comments, concerns from Zoom?
Those that have joined us, if you raise your hand, you'll be able to have 3 minutes to speak on this matter. Now is the time to do that by using the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen. Or yes, the button there. And I'm bringing in Jackie Morris.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Jackie. Welcome.
Thank you once again, Mayor, and also Clerk Norma. You're awesome. Anyway, did I miss something? I thought I saw a section of 5th Street. Is 5th Street going to be repaved between Franklin and Mission Street? Is that on the map for repair?
There is a section.
Abbey Park.
Oh, okay.
It's-
Oh, right in front of Abbey Park.
Yes.
Ooh. Norma, can I talk?
You have that swallowed up a little bit of time. So I would suggest that you kind of give your statement, but you do have about 2 minutes, 30 seconds left.
Okay, I don't need all that.
Okay.
So that is by Abbey Park. So it looks like how you chose this was according to what you were saying. Pick the streets to be proactive so that they don't get beaten down more so and you end up spending more money. But on the other side of Abbey Park and Polk, there's a section, 5th Street, especially over by between Mission and Franklin, that is horrible. And there's a lot of traffic there because we've now got an Airbnb with 3 units in it on the corner of Mission and 5th. Right behind the Airbnb, there's also an apartment complex that has multiple cars. I think in the apartments, there might be like 2 or 3 adults that each have a car. And there's a lot of traffic, a lot of overflow. One of my neighbors, I live on Mission right around the corner on 5th Street, about a year ago, decided to be funny and humorous and potted some flowers in one of the potholes. So I was hoping that that would be on the list, but apparently it looks like it's not. Hopefully you can come back and find a little bit more extra money to see if you can do something with that little small stretch. It's a very short part of 5th Street. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And at this time, Mayor, we do not have any other hands raised.
Thank you very much. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you very much. Do I have a second? Thank you very much. I have a
Second.
first Scott Friels and a second John Freeman. May I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Flores,
Yes.
Councilmember Friels,
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman,
Yes.
Mayor Jordan,
Yes.
motion passed. We are adjourned.
Thank you very much, all.
The time is 9:41.
Thank you, Norma.
Thank you, Norma. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you, Ned.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you, Don. Thank you, everyone.
Melissa.